first Andrew Garfield one I liked better than most people, I guess. People wasn't feeling it, but I enjoyed that movie a lot. But yeah, they saying like it's the best like live action Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man 2. I like both of the both of the Spider-Verse movies
Yeah.
better than the entire trilogy of the first Spider-Man or any Spider-Man since then. So those are like the two best for me. But
Mhm.
for live action, I heard this is like one of the best ones.
Yeah, and it's a lot more serious too. That's what I got. Like people were saying, like it's a lot
Yeah,
serious in years past. Like since it was like a younger version of him, it was a lot more like goofy and hella kind of
yeah.
kiddish. But this one is a little bit more serious, which I'm all for. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely gonna have to check that out, man. But hey, man, don't forget to clock in, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Here we go.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Raiders!
2 years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We back for another edition of Around the Shield, man, and we got a special guest again, man. The return of Adal Usman NFL in the building, man. Y'all already know what time it is, man. We're going to have a great conversation. Obviously, myself for NFL, my guy, the Severe Raider. With everything that's going on around the NFL, training camp updates, all that good stuff, we about to get into it. But Adal, man, how you been, bro?
Life's good. I know y'all got the news. I'm gonna chill real quick and let you get through the intros, but man, ready
Oh,
to bully.
oh, no, for sure. Yeah, man.
With
So,
the 1 year deal.
Hey man, I'm just hey.
hey, man, look, we getting closer to this preseason, so I know that Bay Area rivalries kind of died down after the Raiders left, but the Raiders are going to play the 49ers in the first time in 3 or 4 years in preseason wise. I think they played in regular season, but it's been a while since they played that preseason game because it was I believe it was like basically they canceled the game. It was a yearly game that the Raiders used to play the 49ers after, like, I guess the bad fights that were happening after the game. They're like, all right, enough of this. We're gonna have to figure this out. And I guess since the Raiders have left the Bay Area, hey, now the game is back. So we'll see, man. And them tickets too, it's crazy. They're taking advantage of that history because them tickets are like they charging like it's regular season tickets, if not more. So or like Vegas tickets. If anybody if you know, man, them tickets for Vegas, man. Mm-hmm. Hey, best believe especially if the Raiders start winning, it's gonna get to a whole different level. I think Las Vegas tickets are probably up there one of the most expensive tickets in the NFL, if not the most expensive. Severe, I don't know if you could because I could have sworn I seen a list that had.
I think for the game experience, I think it was the most expensive or something like that. I want to say for everything, like including parking and everything, it was like the most expensive when we looked. It was for sure was like top 5-ish. I want to say.
You gotta repay. You gotta repay everything, man. Trickle down to the fans.
Oh man, and the crazy part is they're actually paying for it. At least the opposing fans are, because the hottest road game in the NFL is the Raiders, because they look at that's like probably the best destination game for a lot of fans. They're looking at the schedule like, should I go to this cold Chicago game or should I go to Las Vegas where I get all the amenities of whatever I want? That comes with being.
And my team is probably gonna win. It's like it's like
damn, man. I mean, as of lately, you ain't lying about that.
It's fact. Hey, we want to shut down people from coming to Vegas. Start beating them people in Vegas, and then they gonna be like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to spend all this money to watch my team lose.
Hey, are you kidding? It's hella funny. But that, did you see that? Did you see that comment in the chat, Severe? Shout out to everybody. The night crew pulling up.
Which one? About the about Kyle or
about Fernando's footwork?
I saw it, but it's like, in what way was it bad? That's what I'm saying.
But it just goes back to my original point. They're saving it. They're saving.
Oh
it.
Yeah.
They're saving it to join me on my podcast so I can give you the full details.
Fact.
This guy had
of the 5-step drop back that he had.
Great day, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, okay. What do you mean by great day? What are you talking about?
Exactly.
They're saving it, but in years past though, they would funnel you into their articles.
Exactly. Yeah, they try to put you to the website or to like an article that's behind a paywall. They'll give you the first paragraph and going into details to read further. Subscribe for $3.99 a month.
Yeah, I'm peeping the game for sure. TK was good, man. Appreciate you clocking in, man. What's good, folks?
All right, TK.
Clocking in while you clock. Oh, man, that's what's up, bro. Hey, we appreciate you watching, my brother. Appreciate you.
Sure.
Venomous Raider says, Raiders. I can already smell the season. Hey, man, look, man, we got some fans out here. We got some real fans out here, man. I'm just letting you know. This is what it looks like to have a real fan base, man. I'm just letting you know, bro. And you wearing black, too. You already know, man. Hey, you wearing black.
Hey, the Niners got a black jersey, so I had to
represent. You already know that. Where they get that from? Where did they get that from? Just let
Hey, man, to be honest, bro, it's actually weird because, like some team got, they always put their quarterback in a different color jersey. And it's just like I've seen some cool alternates where I think some teams could really start incorporating that idea of like, so I think with the Chiefs, it's like all yellow for the quarterbacks when they're like in practice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
I don't remember seeing an all yellow, but a lot of people hated those color rush jerseys from a few years ago. So I'll fall back.
Yeah, nah, man, it's all good. It's all good. Hey, man, Chill Ray, man, he's gamed up on what's going on with the 49ers. I think he's for sure from the Bay too.
Yeah.
What are the Niners covering up with the Kyle Shanahan accident? Let's get into it, bro. Like, that was a weird situation. We found out that he was in an accident, but it happened 2 weeks prior, but there wasn't any news coverage. And I also seen that they've tried to reach out to the Palo Alto police about like getting a body cam or any footage or any type of detail, and the police won't release anything. So that tells you, you see how the 49ers are very big in that community. You know what I mean? So got friends.
You know, somebody's gonna get it.
I could honestly give you a little bit of everything. You know, I feel like there could be a little bit of objectivity there, just to kind of see like what he's asking. Let's get the facts out there, and then I think there's the subjective part of like, if you're a family member of Kyle Shanahan, do you want body cam footage out there of him when he got 40 stitches, man? I don't think that's going to be reported unless that's false, right? Mm-hmm. And the big thing for me, before I even get into the topic, right? Everybody that got into that accident walked away healthy. And I think that's the biggest and most important part of it, right? All the other details that follow can be ironed out. But the biggest thing for me was I was shocked, right? You had reached out to me, Pharaoh, and kind of like let me know what had happened. I was at a wedding, but just to try to like sit down and process what I was reading, right? And then it's like it's been 2 weeks since this happened, right? So immediately, people were in the age of social media. People were wondering, what are people hiding? But you mentioned something earlier, right, about winning, being on the winning side, right? And every fan base, that we want that for whatever team you support, right? And as a fan of the NFL, you want every game to have quality. So now that I got that out the way, it's like this thing happened, and the head coach of the 49ers, who's considered top 5 head coach, who has a father who's a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winning. And so Kyle Shanahan is a poster boy of the NFL, right? If there's a man you could try to tie to having nepotism and all that, you could essentially go and attack Kyle Shanahan for that. But he's proven, and not only did he get there through the namesake, it's also like his resume is proven. And I think there's a level of respect that you earn when you ingratiate yourself in a community, right? And the San Francisco 49ers struggled as a franchise before Kyle Shanahan got here. There's no question about that. And in this instance, I don't think the police department gave out favorable treatment, even in that, fashion. The report, whoever the officer was that was on the scene would take that report, and it would be submitted, and it would eventually get on a database, right? So the fact that Grant Cohn was one of the few reporters to decide to go and look for that, he saw the details, right? And then a lot of people could, for the fun and games of social media, can say, oh, the Brandon Ayuk thing was happening, so it's convenient that you come out with this story. And like, maybe there is a element of how the story was dropped, right? With ESPN dropping their story like minutes after the 49ers dropped their statement. I think that's where you can probably point and say like, okay, that was a real organized rollout. Multiple people had an idea of what was going on. But when it comes to the accident, I think what Kyle Shanahan has done reflects the organization, because when John Lynch first took that job with the Niners, his one non-negotiable was, if we have any conversations, contract talks, this cannot leak to the media. And if it does, you can immediately remove my name from contention and I will not join the San Francisco 49ers. And just taking you back in time, when John Lynch announced, or when the announcement was made that John Lynch would be the San Francisco 49ers GM, nobody knew or expected that was going to happen. And I think it speaks volumes that since that time, nearly 10 years later, when things happen around the San Francisco 49ers, the culture is, obviously they say be a professional everywhere you go, right? Because I've been out getting coffee, having pastries with family members, or have friends that work in different industries around the Bay Area that see these players and they see their conduct. And so it's just a fair warning, I think, to everyone to always remember that privacy is not extended to professionals, right? And so in this one instance, I do feel like if that was my family member, whether it was the girl that was, I believe, 19 years old, or Kyle Shanahan, for him to walk away with those severe injuries, and he said going at 20 miles per hour, if you're familiar with Palo Alto, there's no real center median or divide on those streets. Everybody goes pretty slow. So for the way it was explained, like it's really just you drop your phone, you're distracted from the road, and if it can happen to Kyle Shanahan, it can happen to anyone. So I
Yeah.
would just say I respect the fact that footage was not out there, because I would be upset if that was someone I knew or if that was myself, vice versa. And it's admirable that Kyle Shanahan took, I think he took the high road, and that's what leaders do. You hold yourself accountable if you make mistakes, and you let the chips fall where they may. People are going to write their stories, but similar to what you said, these reporters kind of got called out by fans, right, in the comment sections, kind of asking, if you knew about this, why didn't you report on it? What's the holdup on that? And I just tell people, just because someone holds a position for a company, someone like Chris Sims, who works for NBC, he has every right to also protect his best friend, right? So we're in that gray water where the ethical decisions that people make can also affect, I think, the journalistic standard that everybody's grown to accept, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really an interesting story, and I think we'll never see another one like it. It's unprecedented that something like that happens, and we're still going to be getting more information on it as we move forward.
Yeah. It was kind of, it's just interesting that it was a little bit like there wasn't like immediate coverage. Like usually players are getting immediately breaking news as soon as it happens. We're seeing it on Twitter or X, as they call it these days, or we'll see Adam Schefter. But man, my guy Kyle Shanahan got friends in high places because they really sat on that. And at the end of the day, it was an accident. I'm sure, he came out. He said he was at fault at the end of the day. But I think automatically, though, when people first heard that he was an accident, they were like, man, the 49ers are just an injury waiting to happen. It don't matter if you're a coach, a player. It doesn't matter, because even now, if you want to get into that real quick before we move on to the Raiders, I know that I know you've been keeping tabs on the team and like what's going on, and there's been some injuries already with the team.
Well, before we speed past that, just want to say, I know somebody was asking about like the body cam footage for the stop or the accident. And in California, I think they can delay it like up to 45 days. So the accident was, I just looked it up, it was July 14th. So we should be able to get something like in August regarding the accident. Because main thing I was trying to see is the footage, is it available upon FOIA request? And it's in most states it's not. So like that's FOIA, if nobody knows, that's like the Freedom of Information Act. So like if you want to like get something that's supposed to be like publicly accessible from like a government agency, a reporter could submit a FOIA request, and if it's eligible to be released, then the agency has to release it. It's not eligible in most states under that, but they do have to release it within 45 days. The only times they don't have to release it within 45 days is there was a statute that was passed, AB 748, and it's like if it's an officer involved shooting or it's an incident between an officer and a civilian where there was like great bodily harm inflicted, then they have to release it before the 45-day time limit. But they're gonna draw this thing out as long as possible, especially because it's Kyle Shanahan. He's a person, he's a public figure. In the 49ers in the NFL is a powerful organization. I'm sure they got they got people on payroll, they got lobbyists that
and severe, man. I appreciate you touched on that part too, though, bro, because the biggest thing that's confusing me is like let's just let's say that the story that's out there right now is the actual story, right? What are we set to gain from seeing Kyle Shanahan shook up after a car accident? Like, just to confirm that there was no nefarious reporting? Is that what it is? Or what do you think? Do you think people are assuming that it's foul play, or that's what I'm trying to gauge?
No, I
don't think anything happened.
I don't think it's foul play, but I do think that people were kind of shocked that it happened 2 weeks prior to the news dropping. Usually something like this, like when it happens, like it'll happen like maybe the day prior or same day, or within a few days of.
Yeah.
The fact that it's 2 weeks and we didn't hear it's something like as serious as this, we're like, oh, okay, this is kind of like strange, and like we start looking at the real. We're looking at the reality of the situation of who Kyle Shanahan is. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Yeah,
he's a Shanahan. He is, and he got NFL connections left and right.
Exactly.
It's just there's a lot of layers to this. You know what I mean? And guys like Adam Schefter, like the insiders around the NFL did not. They probably did know about it, but hey, like we know, like we all know about a lot about these insiders. It's a relationship business. They just don't. They just don't just go ahead and just announce some breaking news. It's because they'll do favors so then they can get favors in return. So, hey,
yeah, the delay is the biggest thing. I think like when it's just somebody put in the comment section the Tony Romo stuff that came out. Anytime it's a player or somebody else, they're quick to try to embarrass that player. The fact that they're covering this up with Kyle Shanahan, and he got into an accident because he dropped his phone supposedly. Nobody heard anything about what was his blood alcohol level when he went to the hospital. Like none of that information comes out. If it's a player, we know exactly. Oh man, they tested him at the hospital. His blood alcohol was 2 times the legal limit. Why is he? Anytime it's a player, it's like it comes out quickly. But the fact that we didn't even hear about this with Kyle Shanahan, and he got into such a bad accident where he suffered damn near life-altering injuries. Damn near lost an eye. Nobody knew about it for 2 weeks. You're the coach of the NFC, of a team that was on the precipice of going to the NFC Championship game, right? So, and nobody has heard. He's been to the Super Bowl multiple times. He's the son of one of the most famous coaches of all time for one of the most high-profile organizations in all of the NFL. Nobody heard anything about this coach getting into an accident. But if some third-string defensive tackle gets a DUI, it's all over ESPN. You feel me? So it doesn't. The math ain't mathing. So anytime
it's preferential treatment though.
Exactly. But anytime there's that big of a divide between how something is reported normally and how it's reported in this instance, that leaves a space for there to be speculation. Anytime there's speculation, the people are going to, the mind wanders, right? The people are like, well, then why did they delay it? Like, what's going on here? Like, is there more to the story? And there could be nothing at all. But the fact that you left that room for people to speculate is going to, have their imaginations run wild. And we know with the imaginations of people, it can go crazy.
Yeah. No, facts.
I would say the most concerning too, man. I think Kyle Shanahan held an emergency meeting with the local reporters like the Grant Cohns, Larry Krugers, and the likes, and he was shaken up, man. He said, when as a coach in the past, whenever he had players dealing with concussions, he would just, as a strategist, as a coach, like, can't wait to have him back. But in this instance, he's going through the concussion protocol himself. Overwhelmed. If you've ever had concussion symptoms, it's like you can be light sensitive, sound sensitive, easily get overwhelmed, like with the functions of what an NFL head coach seems to be, right? So I think that was interesting for even his most ardent critics, like Grant Cohn, for example, to even in a time where it would have been interesting to have him give that take, right? Oh, is there a possible DUI or this, that, and the third? He looked at the human element. Like, this man doesn't have any incentive to lie, like, for me. And if there is,
Grant Cohn is playing the game, bro.
But you gotta
know what he's doing. Grant Cohn know what he's doing, bro. But you gotta. This is my chance to. Oh, Grant Cohn isn't such a bad guy.
But the thing I'd add, because like he's somebody that's gonna report the news to his favor and to get the clicks and the views, right? The sarcasm is kind of his trademark, but in this instance, I'm like, it also highlighted in the same breath like Brandon Ayuk and how he's just like, when Alden Smith passed away a few weeks ago, rest in peace, like he was still in the midst of all his posts on Instagram and stuff, right? Just not reading the room. And then when this accident happened with Kyle Shanahan, he's essentially subliminally, kind of writing messages.
That was all bad. Like I saw the IG message.
Yeah. and to me, it's like that shows your character even more because maybe for me, the way I judged the character was based off of how negotiations went for you, and maybe tried to even give you a little bit of leeway there. But yeah, man, and that comment right there, right? Anyone else would not get those privileges, but this the world that we live in, man. Some people are afforded those extra privileges, and in this instance, I wanna just give benefit of the doubt because again, I just don't see what there is to gain unless it was something like you said, where if we never see like dash cam footage or like I'm sorry, body cam footage or anything like that ever, I wouldn't feel like we were lied to in any way. But I can understand how some other people come to that conclusion, and then a lot of people say it's like a story that dropped to distract from the like the whole Brandon Ayuk saga and the injury concerns. But I don't think you don't sit on a story like that unless you have a reason. So I got to give benefit of the doubt, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So if there's nothing to hide, then there's nothing to hide. Then just release it. Like what would be the advantage of not releasing it? Like that, you say like, what would you want? Like the advantage of releasing it is full transparency. Full transparency. Sure. Honesty is the best policy, as they say, right? Full transparency is always the way to go. Anytime you go anything less than full transparency, that leaves room for people to speculate. And as we said, several other people have had their arrests and their, in police interactions released. We just saw Dirty Diana, a few weeks ago, had her body cam footage released, right? So like, and it was released with the sole purpose of embarrassing her. Like, make no mistake, the sole purpose of releasing that was to embarrass her. So if we want to go anything less than that to protect Kyle Shanahan, I think it's bad policy, right? And it just leaves room for people to speculate and to think that there's something nefarious going on behind the scenes. And I would look at that same way, because if you can release the body cam footage of all these other people being embarrassed, then there's no reason for you not to release it for Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? I think this story still has a lot more juice left, and I think patience is probably the best course of action, because some of our suspicions may be proven completely false, or there may be more to it. So my guy Pharaoh in the building still.
Yeah,
not just SoCal. That's coming soon though, brother. Coming soon.
Yeah, man. So look, I was gonna say earlier, I was gonna segue into like 49ers injuries, and obviously you can let us know what's going on. I'm sure it's early, just like Raiders camp, and then everybody watching, definitely about to get into the Raiders talk. Just be patient. But I was noticing that, man, like you guys are still dealing with injuries, and I heard that Pearsall, he's even from a 49ers beat report, I heard like I think he's most likely going to be out for the season.
I would say that's far too early to speculate. Until I see something official, like he's going to get some imaging done. He's missed multiple practices, but like swelling is, I think it's
translation.
No. Like I'll be honest. I don't see the PCL is one of those injuries where the success rate on it is so risky that I could see Ricky Pearsall wanting to not do the surgery, because to do that graft surgery, you have to drill into the bone of the knee in 2 areas. And that opens you up to infections, that opens you up to improper healing, and then they might have to go in and do a secondary surgery. And if there's re-aggravation of that original injury on the sutured surgical part, that could cause arthritis. That could cause obviously now your gait will change, your movement, your biometrics change. So I think if I'm Ricky Pearsall's agent, if I'm Ricky Pearsall, I'm trying to go into the season as long as I can to not have this surgery. But let's say that it's worst case scenario, surgery is needed now. All right, because you got to look at it. Meaningful NFL snaps will be played in less than 6 to 7 weeks. And the Niners are looking at it like Deebo Samuel looks healthy. DeJon Stribling is looking good. Mike Evans looks healthy, and this opens the door for another young receiver to maybe carve out a role for himself in the meantime, because the greatest gift that Ricky Pearsall had was his shiftiness and his ability to get in and out of breaks. And if your knee's not stable, your whole, everything you bring to the table is at jeopardy. So,
Right.
And to be quite frank, the Niners didn't really have him in the roster consistently after like week 5 last season. I was at the game where he got injured against the Jaguars, but those first 4 games were special. And if he's able to come back healthy, he won't be expected to do much. So I think it's patience is a virtue with this situation with Ricky Pearsall. It's just been unlucky. First year he got shot, didn't really get to start the season. So then it's like from that to have the mental fortitude to come back and really prove himself and show, these his potential, and then even to have the character to say like, oh, the minor that shot me, if there's ever a time he wants to talk to me, I'm willing to forgive him and like, build like, and I would just say maybe like mend that situation, right? And that just speaks to, I think he's a resilient person. So I think with the Niners putting him on the physically unable to perform list is just probably the smartest thing to do. And if surgery is the call, do that, but obviously pick out the best surgeon to do that, because the risk involved with that. And Ricky Pearsall is, I think, 31st overall, first round pick. So it's like, you don't want to waste a talent like that because of a bad surgery, right? But I think everything else with San Francisco and just the injuries that have been coming out of training camp are regular training camp injuries. There's just the players that have like long-term injuries that are coming back. The George Kittles, the Mykel Williams, and Alfred Collins. They've all the Tony Romo did come out hella fast, bro.
Man, that came out fast. And
and
the memes came out even faster.
Bro,
AI.
I don't know if you seen the AI video where he was doing the Dak Prescott warm up.
Yeah.
I said, bro, that looked too realistic, man. We're getting close.
Internet is undefeated, bro. Internet is undefeated. What's crazy is that, Adele said it, that Ricky Pearsall got shot in the chest and played that year. But this man couldn't survive the substation. Bro, the substation got him. The substation got him, bro.
Substation.
Look, I don't give a what scientists they got working for the Niners that said it ain't no problem. Look,
but you know what a big thing too, like, how the players post their like postseason or like off-season workouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so one of the big things that Ricky Pearsall was posting, and like I think he was working out at a park in New York, and in every like cut of the video you see like the knee brace on his leg as he's running. So a lot of people were like, I couldn't help myself but just keep looking at that knee brace every time he was making a break, because you could tell like it doesn't look like it's fully there. If you know what it is when you've just seen a player be at full speed and when they're just nursing back. And again, it's one of those things, like he's been injured since I want to say like September or October maybe. So if surgery was an option back then and that was something that they opted against, it's sad if it ends up being the case again, right? So again, this is another story that's got plenty of juice on it, but I don't think we've got everything out the squeeze. So Ricky Pearsall, like, updates over the next week, I think, but Deebo Samuel signing with the Niners, I think, is telling. It's a prove-it deal. It's also a depth signing, and I'm excited. That's fire.
I'm going to ask you, I'm going to continue this conversation that we were having behind the scenes. And I want to ask you personally, if you're seeing this on your end. Obviously, you cover the 49ers. You're trying to get as much information as possible about the team and what's going on. And part of that is kind of working with the beat reporters that are there on the ground. I'm sure you do your part as well, but you're trying to get that information. And different training camps around the NFL, they handle things a lot differently. So, for example, you could talk about it from reporters covering the team and the information that you get. Sometimes teams put a limitation of what can be said. They let the media, local media, know what can be said and what can't be. Even attendance. Certain training camps, they have full attendance every training camp day. Like there's nothing not a fan cannot see during training camp. Training camps like the Raiders, it's in years past. I mean, I'm back in the Oakland days. They really didn't have fans out there. I mean, there was maybe one or a couple of days. I think now they've kind of been a little bit more open to it, but it's very selective on when they can have fans at training camp and when they can't. But it differs around the NFL. But what I want to bring up is, and try, just to continue the conversation is that are you seeing, like, are you getting live updates from play-by-play updates from training camp? Are the beat reporters for the 49ers, are you getting live updates, play-by-plays? Because in years past with the team, we've had beat reporters come left and right, you know, since they've gone to Vegas, you know, it's kind of been, guys have kind of come in new to the team, started covering the team. Some guys have left. So it feels like this year, everybody's kind of on the same page of like, well, it's still early. It's still early, by the way. Things can change. Maybe not a whole lot is going on for them to give us live updates, but so far they just giving us recaps of what's going on with the team, which leaves a lot where you're like wondering, like, okay, where's the context? We need to get a little bit more. Like, we need to figure out who's having a good game, who's actually making a play. You know, usually when we get live updates, we can pick that apart along with getting recaps from the people that were there. So you can start, the more information that you get, the more you can assess what's actually happening, right? Are you getting that with the 49ers? Because on the Raiders side, we're seeing a little bit of a change this year. We're just getting recaps of the day that happened. Like we'll just get the highlight here and there of what happened at the day, but not live updates. Are you, covering the team? Are you seeing that on your end?
Yeah, I would say, like, I think for you guys, it might just be a simple fact of there's a new regime in the building, and there's just, before things about the identity of this Raiders team is out there in the open, right before the regular season starts, I think Kubiak's probably either spoken to your PR lead and just kind of made that known, like, up until the preseason, I want to install these things that I don't want too much out there. And hey, we got 49 viewers right now, man. That's a sign right there. Just throwing out there real quick. I see y'all, man. You know, we locked in. Look at that. Anyways, I would just say, it's something I've talked about before when I've come on here. When you watch any football team and you want to get that individualized coverage, you have to know who you're watching and understand what the niche coverage is, right? Even within these niche markets of the NFL, you have to know who's the statistician. You have to know who's the analyst, who's the columnist, and you have to understand some of these guys are wearing multiple hats, right? And in the age of independent media, people have YouTube channels and they maybe write for some of these newspapers as well. So it's all tied in, right? So I think the ecosystem relative to what it was maybe 10 years ago, I see a lot of improvements in that. Information is so available to you that if you do follow the team and you have the Niners have had the same coaching regime for 10 years. So there's a lot of things that you kind of know the inner workings of the organization. Like you've either reported on the team or you've just seen things play out. And so I would say to Raider Nation, if you feel like there's a mysteriousness behind how this offseason feels, you have to think, like, there's in the age of, you know, people spying on each other and things coming out prior to, maybe there's a special player that, you know, you don't want to give out too much information on. You want to surprise your divisional foes and things of that nature. So I think from a strategy standpoint, Kubiak comes from obviously his dad's a former Super Bowl winning head coach. So I would liken it to that being the reason, and maybe there's just like a changing of the guard with which reporters have access now too. That's something you have to consider, right? Because guys that might have been close to the regime in years prior might not be getting that same level of access, although there's like a media availability for anyone that's credentialed that they all share. There's just the intricacies of, like, when you're walking through the building and then maybe a trainer or a player will pull you to the side and give you a little bit more than. So I think that's maybe changing now, right? Because there's new players in the building. Players are going to have more value than prior players, XYZ. And with the Niners, the only thing I feel like going into this offseason that may have led them to do what they did with the Kyle Shanahan story is going back to that privacy thing. Is Brandon Ayuk broke one of the golden rules of the San Francisco 49ers, and it's ignoring the noise outside of the building and protecting the team. He did two things to really destroy that trust and, that family, that vibe that's been curated in San Francisco or with the Niners. And so they went into the offseason and essentially going into training camp with that in mind. Like, we're going to keep everything tight to the chest. And when the Kyle Shanahan accident happened, that's kind of like, man, not only do we got one crisis, but we got a second crisis that we've got to deal with, right? So if anything, it feels unusual that the San Francisco 49ers in an offseason where they had 12 wins have so much news that I don't feel is even related to football per se.
It's not a good
right. Yeah, and I think it could speak volumes because, like Chris Forrester, who's the co-head coach, who's the interim head coach in place of Kyle Shanahan right now, he spoke about, this is the only team that wanted me as an offensive mind, and my loyalty runs deep. And I think players like Kittle have came out and made comments about, I've been treated with nothing but respect for the time that I've been here. A player like Debo, who got signed after a contentious contract battle, coming back to the team. So what leg does Brandon Ayuk really have to stand on, right? When you look at it in its totality. And so I think in that respect, the Niners are staying true to who they are as an organization where, it's like anything that happens in the family stays in the family and nobody wins when the family feuds. So.
Yeah, man. Severe, bro. Look, man, the Browns, this might be an extreme, but the Browns, their reporters, they actually chart the quarterback's completions, and incompletions. Yeah. I would love that. You know what I mean? That is taking it too far. It's just training camp. At the end of the day, but
it's a metric though.
Yeah. But they allow the reporters over there to do that. To do that. Now, and the Raiders over the years, we used to get live updates, and it was nothing crazy. They weren't like letting us know what type of formation that the team was doing and things like. Letting us know like the 7-on-7. It's 11-on-11. Oh, Mendoza hit 2 passes in a row. Oh, great back shoulder. But just kind of letting us know. Exactly.
Do you want more Mendoza updates though? Is that what you feel like? Because I feel like as a number one pick, it's the one player that I still feel is very mysterious as to what's going on in training camp. Maybe that's just, because I follow the Raiders. I'm trying to follow, but I'm like, it's very they're keeping a tight lid on it. Maybe that's just my assessment.
One more everything. It's not necessarily just exclusive to Mendoza, just in general. As Pharaoh was saying in the past, we would get, this guy had a big deep pass down the middle. Oh, best play of the day was this deep pass down the middle. Oh, we'll get live updates on Twitter. You can follow 3-4 different accounts, and you can see, and some people, how they would do it. Some people would pay attention more to what's going on with the defense. So back then our offense was trash. So they'd watch the defense more. Some people would pay more attention to what was going on with the starting offense. And then, obviously if there was a session where it was a team session where it was 11-on-11 or 7-on-7 with the ones versus the ones, then we get those updates on what the plays were happening between those two units. And even when it was Josh McDaniels, right? And he's a person who came from the Patriot organization who's openly hostile to the media. Even then we would get those updates. Just the reporters were confined to a certain space or a certain box where they couldn't leave outside of that box. So they couldn't some of the stuff, if it was in the distance, they wouldn't have a clear view of exactly what was going on, but they'd still be able to report on it. It's just seeming now we're not even getting that stuff. And as I said before, transparency is the best policy in my opinion, right? Honesty is the best policy. Just being as transparent as possible. And when things are being opaque, it just leads to speculation where
it leaves a lot to the
imagination
team
to control, and allows the team to control the message. And that's what it seems like. If you want to control the message, then you make stuff as opaque as possible, as foggy as possible. You give it as little details as possible, and then people can run with whatever narrative they want to run with. So if you want to say something positive, then you can go the positive route. If you want to say something negative, then you can go the negative route. Like we saw one report from, I forgot the guy's name, saying, "Oh, Mendoza had a great day, right? Mendoza's looking good. He's looking he's looking very comfortable under center." And as one of our somebody in the chat earlier said, Jesse Merrick is reporting, "Oh, Mendoza's footwork is bad," right? So when you're when you're being foggy, or you're allowing people to kind of put their own spin and their own narrative on it, instead of just telling it what it is. This is what I saw on this particular play. On this 3-step drop, it was choppy. In this 5-step drop, it was bad. Or in the shotgun rep, he looked a lot more comfortable. He was doing something, he did it. And like just being that transparent is what's going to allow people to kind of like distill the information better. But right now, they're just giving these broad statements and not giving any details.
Yeah, can I ask one more thing, bro? I want you to kind of touch on this real quick, because what's the difference for you? Because to me, I don't pay attention to those reports until the pads come on. Are you different in that way, or do you measure in that same fashion? Because I know that the Niners are having their first padded practice tomorrow for this year.
I agree with that. But like I was saying earlier, I said the more information, the better. And I like to get as much information as possible. Once you start limiting the information, then what happens then? Then I don't want to be guessing. I don't want to just assume just off of one little thing that someone said, oh, that's the truth. I rather get the raw information, and then I can come up with my opinion, or because sometimes people, like when they give you like to Severe's point, he was saying that like you're leaving, you're not really saying too much when you say, oh, this guy was playing well, but then another guy comes in and says, well, the guy's footwork wasn't really that good. It's just like, what are we doing here? I'd rather get the full, let me decide,
Exactly.
if someone is playing well or not. Just give me the raw information, and then I'll do that with whatever I want to do with that. But I was gonna say, someone on the chat was saying, "Oh, AI is going to take over and this, that, and the third," it had me. And this is, I'm glad that he said it. I'm not going to take it all. That's a whole, different conversation. But I will say this: how people consume information is completely different now than it ever has. Like me growing up, I guess I'm old school. I like reading. I like reading up on things. I like reading an article. I like reading a well-written article about the team, about a player, whatever the case may be. But I think that the way things are moving, everything is becoming a lot more digital. Everybody wants to, obviously, hey, shout out to everybody watching Around the Shield, man. Make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. But like now, I feel like people are kind of going in that direction, and they're kind of like limiting the information that we're getting, and now we're hearing it in podcasts and things like that, which is cool. But I still think there's value in actually like reading an article, reading that, like, because even something as simple as like, let's say if a movie based out on a book, right? When you watch a movie, you be like, oh, the movie's good, but it wasn't better than the book. Why wasn't it better than the book? Because the book gave you the full amount of details, gave you everything that happened, right? The movie cut out a lot of those details. That's why I feel like there's still value on things that are written. And I think that part of it, I think it's a little bit, I think it's changing. And I think, because even some of the, I don't want to name no names, but I'm noticing some of these, reporters, they'll have an article, and with that article, they'll post a clip and recap of what they seen, because they know that people don't read the full article. They'll just go to that 60-second clip,
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a difference between reporting and editorializing, right? And what we're getting is people editorializing. Like, reporting is Fernando Mendoza was 8 for 12 in practice. He had one long pass out of 3. He was 5 for 5 on short passes, and whatever how many left on intermediate area. editorializing against, or Fernando Mendoza threw the ball well today. Like, motherfucker, what does that mean? Like, what is well to you? In your opinion, he threw the ball well. That might not be my opinion. You're telling me he threw the ball well based on what you think is well. What you think is well and what I think is well are two different things. So don't tell me what you think. Tell me what actually happened, and then I will tell myself what my opinion of based on the information given. You're giving me your opinion, and that's not what I'm asking for. That's not your job. Your job is to tell me what's going on.
And hey, you know what Severe just said right now is the same argument that I make when people say Brock Purdy is not an elite quarterback. Look at the numbers, look at the efficiency, look at what he's done for 4 years. Severe, man, you walk me down the road so perfectly because, bro, it's outrageous. You hit people with these stats. He doesn't throw for the same 5,000 yards like maybe Joe Burrow or so and so, but it's like his game is not predicated on throwing teams out of the game, right? It's being able to make those layered throws and picking teams apart. And again, early on when Brock Purdy was coming on, like Grant Cohn was somebody that reported like the Browns beat reporters where he said like 14 out of 24 throws, this, that, and the third, right? And I almost felt like the biggest criticism that came out of those reports was he throws a lot of interceptions in practice. And I'm like, yo, I love to have a developing quarterback throwing interceptions in practice against Fred Warner, against Dre Greenlaw, and at the time, which was maybe not Richard Sherman, but like, you know, Diamador Lenore and like, Lil Mooney, Travarius Ward. So it's kind of like, okay, you're throwing interceptions against guys that are getting all-pro nods and who are like Fred Warner's a future Hall of Famer currently playing. He's going to be a first ballot. So it's kind of, to me, that type of reporting, although I can get in there and understand the nuances of it, I think some people who don't follow football could say, oh, Brock Purdy throws a lot of interceptions, and they could form a whole understanding of football based on this reporter. And what I just say to that is you have to go watch somebody like Lombardi, who's like all statistics, and he's analyzing like, okay, let's look at this, over a 5-year body of work and compare it to situational awareness about things that are happening in football when you're in the red zone versus when teams are giving you 5-man blitz fronts. So there's all these little nuances that's like Brock Purdy continuously excels at being an efficient quarterback. But the reporting around him would be, oh, he has Kyle Shanahan under him, or helping him. He has George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and these things are all true. But the sum of all parts cannot move forward without Brock Purdy being the conductor. Like, even as much credit that you give Mac Jones, it's like 3-5 is not taking any team to the playoffs, right? That's what he was last year.
Okay, well, look, let me. All right, I think he's pretty good. I think he's good to pretty good. That's where I put him at. I can't say he's elite.
Is Justin Herbert better than him?
Is Justin Herbert better than him?
I think about the same. They're probably about the same.
They're probably in the same. They're probably in the same category. They're in the same category. But I
think Brock Purdy's up here is at a different level than him.
Well, then what happens if Justin Herbert was coached under Kyle Shanahan?
I mean, he got Jim Harbaugh. That's not too far off the tree.
Jim Harbaugh is not an offensive play caller. He's just a coach that has pretty good assistance. But
I'd say to that, the only reason why I'd make this argument, bro, is he was an actual former NFL quarterback. Like Jim Harbaugh was a Heisman finalist. Like, there's not like a coach that he understands the quarterback position probably better than Kyle Shanahan. Like, I mean, no, like, this is a former player who played. You can't, no matter how great the Shanahan name is, it's like, he played in the league. He put on the socks. He put on the cleats.
I would say that if the only like NFL really good NFL quarterback he like was responsible for was Andrew Luck. Outside of Andrew Luck, what NFL, because he was been in college for a long time. Outside of Luck, what were any other good quarterbacks that came from a Jim Harbaugh?
Alex Smith, resurgence, and Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Like there was a run.
He got a good track record, bro. Like
I'm talking about. Alex Smith came from. Alex Smith was That was
I'm saying
Urban
resurrection.
Meyer.
Resurrection.
I'm talking about Alex Smith was Urban Meyer. And Alex Smith wasn't good with him. Alex Smith wasn't really he was solid. He wasn't great. Alex Smith hit a stride.
They made it to
the
the Super Bowl, bro.
I'll give Alex Smith. I'll give Alex Smith because Alex Smith was basically a bust up until Harbaugh.
So he kind of. But I'm saying, what guy has he gotten from college? He was in college for a long time too. What guy has he gotten from college to the league? Like he got luck. What the other guy did?
But I mean, you could say him going back to Michigan and winning that national championship, and then JJ McCarthy. Regardless,
he won at Michigan. With the run game and with defense. We'll see what JJ McCarthy is in the league. And that's some people.
And the point I'm making is like, hey, and I'm glad we're getting nitpicky like this because the point at the end of the day that I'm making is Kyle Shanahan and Jim Harbaugh are not like coaches you can't compare, right? We can say that they're both non-Super Bowl winning coaches who have both had great success with elite franchises, which are both they're 9 or 10 years, and there's still people to this day that say he's the better coach, right? People still wish they had Jim Harbaugh here, and I disagree, but. Everyone can have their opinion, but I wouldn't be upset if there was a coach swap, right?
That 49ers team coached by Jim Harbaugh. That was a
special team.
That was a physical. That was a team. I'm surprised they didn't win a Super Bowl.
Alex Smith didn't go to Super Bowl, right? That was Kaepernick, I thought.
Yeah, but he played I think halfway through the season until that concussion.
Yeah, but so Alex Smith didn't go. Let's get that straight.
Alex Smith had resurged, but then Kaepernick came in and gave him the run game. Like the run game was really what put it over the top.
In the year prior, they did go to the NFC Championship. I'm not going to take any. All right, he did. I felt like he did give Alex Smith his confidence, his swagger back, kind of got him on the right direction. And then he went to Andy Reid and he had a really productive season. He even went to Washington. And
who was the coach before Harbaugh? Was it like Jim Tom Sula or something like that? Who was the coach before Harbaugh?
Yeah, Jim Tom Sula.
He's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
Jim Tom Sula didn't know how to handle quarterback,
But I mean, he was by that time it was already over though. Alex Smith was gone. That was Kaepernick already. By the time Tom Sula and all them was coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't.
But I don't want to make it seem like because you're saying a whole lot here. There's so many things I want to address because look, I get your respect of Brock Purdy and him as a player, but for me, I feel like he's in that good to pretty good category. You brought up Herbert,
which is 15 right now, which is outrageous. That's what people saying. Is you talking about him like he's like Tua Tagovailoa, bro. That's wild.
I put Brock in that 8 to 12 range.
Yeah. At his best,
he's in the 8 to 12 range.
At his best.
I mean, and that's what was he? He was a 7th round pick, right? You get that out of a 7th rounder, bro. You
don't say that about any other quarterback though. Only with Brock Purdy, bro. He can have an MVP season and be like, but he's not a draft pick. He should be happy with where he's at. And I'm like, dude. The metrics are objective.
They do it with a lot of quarterbacks. They do it with Lamar all the time, bro. They've been doing it with Lamar.
Lamar got just as many. He's had just as many weapons and formidable defenses for them to fall short as many times. It's kind of like,
but he's never had a offensive coach. John was a special teams coach. He's never had a true number 1 wide receiver. It's his best weapons has been tight end, and Mark Andrews has been putting up historic seasons with him, right? So it's he's never had a true.
It's one of those things, though. Yeah, it's one of those things. I think, again, the information that you get, right? Even if we had all the information before us and we had objective metrics, whether it was efficiency, whether it was completion percentage, whether it was deep throw statistics, you could have all that in front of you, but the subjective part of it always comes into play, which is your draft position, the narrative around you, and then again, who your head coach is, which is going to always – Brock Purdy could go win the Super Bowl this year and everybody's going to shake Kyle Shanahan and gave it to him.
Let me ask you this.
That's how it goes.
Let me ask you this. Is the elite the highest level that you can give a player? You know what I mean? Elite.
I think Patrick Mahomes is the best I can give a player, and then everything from Patrick Mahomes is measured.
But I'm just saying when you say elite, when you say the word elite, that category is that the highest? Is that the highest?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's only something.
I would say elite is the second highest. I would say generational is the highest. Then I will go elite. and
No,
then you get to very good.
generational. I feel you.
Because
While
generational was the elite.
while they're playing,
Generation
though,
was the elite.
it's
Is,
kind of like
elite of the elite.
yeah.
But
I get the distinction though. That's smart.
I try to keep it simple, like just because generational is what people say when a player's coming into the league, like, oh, he's generational or he's a generational talent. I'm sure they continue that conversation as he goes on in his career because the talent could be so great. But like when we say elite, let's say that's the highest category, right? That's the highest category that a player can go into. So who are the quarterbacks that are elite? I just want to understand this. Who are your
okay. I'll give them.
You said one of them. You said one of them.
Yeah, it's Patrick Mahomes is the standard.
Okay.
That's the standard, right? And that's the prototype quarterback straight out.
Okay.
Josh Allen, even though I don't think his playoff success is up there, him as a talent, he's up there. Okay, that's two now.
So you got Mahomes, you got Josh Allen. You said Josh Allen?
Yeah. Then obviously I'm taking into consideration consensus as well. Like some of these players I personally wouldn't put in there, but I know Joe Burrow, when healthy, when the team is functional, is a top 5 quarterback, right? Not many people will get mad at that.
Okay.
And then you bring in Lamar Jackson, and after that, I don't have anybody else that I think is that much better than Brock Purdy for people to look at and say you forgot somebody.
So you think he's better than Stafford?
Okay, Stafford, but I'm looking at it moving forward, right? I'm moving forward. Like,
okay,
I'm moving forward, like, because I'm thinking Stafford's on his last 2 years, right? Brock Purdy's going into year 5, and every argument that people look at for any quarterback in year 5, it's like he's touched every metric that you want for a quote unquote franchise quarterback, and he's led the team in playoff victories. Like last year, that team was not supposed to win against the Eagles.
Yeah. I was reading
with that
something.
substation though. That 5 years is like 8.5.
Hey.
It's a little short. It's shortened a little. So I was reading something interesting today. Shout out to Ted Nguyen. I think he put out a top 10 play caller list, and the number 1 play caller that he put on a list, guess who? Your boy Kyle Shanahan was number 1. And one of the interesting thing that he said about him is that he doesn't really give the quarterbacks a whole lot on the line of scrimmage. He calls 2 plays, and usually those 2 plays are going to answer a lot of what the defense is going to give them. So that's another thing. Like, that's the benefit of playing in a Kyle Shanahan play called offense, in a Kyle Shanahan system. You know, I don't want to take too much away from Brock Purdy. At the end of the day, he's getting the job done. He's making plays. I've seen games where he's made special plays, but I just don't think he's in that elite category. I think he's just.
But what are you basing that thought off of? Is it statistics or is it the eye test?
It's a little bit of the eye test and also the players around the league. Like, I don't think he's better than certain players. So how can I say that this guy is elite when there's like a bunch of players?
It's elite only applies to 5 players though. 6, maybe 6.
3 to 5. I honestly, if you want to keep it real, it's probably 3.
And what do you look at yards thrown per season? Do you look at what's your efficient, like, what's your metrics? I just want to get a better understanding.
I look at numbers, playoff success. I see what you're saying. I see what you're doing here.
Because it's just tell me what your metrics are. I don't want to talk subjective. I'm saying what are the things you look at when you're like a quarterback good? What stats you looking for?
You're trying to base it off what he's done so far in his career, and he's had probably, you know, some playoff success. But what was the playoff success based off though? Was it based off Brock Purdy or was it based off a talented defense? Now there's context.
Last year, not so much, because last year it was 100% first drive of the game in Philly, scoring a touchdown on the first drive. That's Brock Purdy doing that. That's not anybody else.
It's hard for me to look. All right, look. We gotta give people full context, and we got some smart viewers. They follow the game. Of course, yeah. So Brock Purdy he's on a 49er team. He's on a 49er team that's done what they've been doing before he got there. They were winning games with
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, and he was, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hey, but Brock won more games when he came in. He improved whatever was going on.
I know, but I did say he was good, right? Didn't I say he was good? I didn't say he was bad. I said he was good. So obviously he's gonna help maintain or even do a little bit more than the quarterback.
No. It's not maintained. He went 17-4 to start out, bro. That's not maintained. That's elite production, brother. Like and that's why I'm really holding on to this conversation, bro, because I want people to like hone in on what are the metrics. How are we basing this elite conversation? Because it's gonna affect all the other positional conversations as well, right? Because if we have all these metrics that we measure, the speed, the tackles, the whatever it is based on position, and then we say, well, you know what? He had a great defensive coordinator, and that's why his sack numbers were up. Like, I don't ever hear that. Like, if Myles Garrett goes and produces with the Rams, you're not going to say that about him. I find that way of doing the measurements to be super subjective, and it'll always ignore what's right in front of you, which is efficiency, which is how you're performing under pressure, playoff performance, which again, if I can't use somebody's career thus far without using like every other quarterback's been successful in that system, and it's like not the way Brock Purdy's run it. It's a clear, distinct difference.
I get it, man. I get it.
What's Brock Purdy's record?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think he froze up a little bit.
No, I was gonna say once we get Severe back, we'll let him get going. But I was gonna say this. I think you're getting caught up on the fact that, like, obviously the 49ers have been winning, but guess what? They've been winning before him. So it's not like Brock Purdy was coming to a terrible team.
Bro, do you remember that game when the Niners played the Broncos and Garoppolo literally threw for no touchdowns? They lost that game 12-9. Like, that was Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
That was incompetence at the highest level.
Go up, right? There's only one way to go up was from Jimmy Garoppolo. So what I'm trying to say is, and I hate to do this because at the end of the day it's an ultimate team game. But the facts are the facts. And you mentioned this, but you kind of downplayed it. The
facts are subjective, though. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, but okay, it's subjective. So Kyle Shanahan. So let me ask you this: is this subjective? Is Kyle Shanahan one of the best coaches in the NFL? Is that subjective?
I think you can measure that by record. You can measure that by performance against teams they weren't supposed to beat. There's like metrics we could actually go to and say this is his production. So I don't need to say his dad or all these other things that don't really matter. It really comes down to what is his red zone efficiency, and the numbers are different when Brock Purdy is the quarterback compared to any other quarterback he's had with the Niners.
Right. I'm not going to say that Kyle Shanahan is not one of the best coaches just to say he's one of the best coaches. I'm going to base it off the production that his team's had, the success that his team has, the multiple Super Bowl appearances that his team has, how many quarterbacks has he, like, he had Jimmy G in the Super Bowl, like how many times? He had Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl. I get it. So we have to understand, like, what's the constant denominator here? Has it been Brock Purdy? No, it's been, Kyle Shanahan. It's been a great defense. Every time they've made those Super Bowl runs, you would agree that they've had a great defense. And these are things that help a quarterback like Brock Purdy,
and a great running game usually.
And a great running game. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to take away anything from him. But when you give a quarterback that, it does equal a good quarterback, good to pretty good quarterback. Winning.
But I'm saying, like, you're essentially saying,
also
like,
look at, like, how many years did Jimmy G play with Christian McCaffrey? Because he didn't have Christian McCaffrey the entire time.
It was 2 years.
And Brock Purdy has played his entire 5 years with Christian McCaffrey, correct? So it's like,
McCaffrey missed an entire season, so three seasons this year.
So 3 seasons, okay. 3 seasons, okay. So yeah, I mean that makes a difference, man. Like, when in terms of red zone efficiency, when you have Christian McCaffrey down there,
why George Kittle a more productive tight end now?
He wasn't. George Kittle put up 1,500 yards his second year when Jimmy G was hurt.
But he wasn't scoring no tutties. No,
I mean,
tutties.
because who was the quarterback? So who was the
That's the
quarterback
point I'm
that year?
making. That's the point. I'm thinking.
So he was still, he still produced that year.
I mean, bro, but tight ends are always going to produce in the NFL in terms of catches and receptions. If you're a good tight end, you're going to get those. But what really
Bro, you don't put up
separates you is
1,500 yards as a tight end or 14. It was like 14 something. It was like 14.
But what separates you as a tight end though is red zone efficiency. That's the name of the game for tight end, right?
Where do you have Purdy?
And that's
Purdy. What category you have Purdy in?
I have Purdy is good.
Good.
To
So
like good to slide up to
yeah,
very good.
and again, when you say good, you gotta like for me, you gotta tell me where he's deficient that puts him down from efficient. You know, from elite. You know what I'm saying? Because the only thing I could really hear people say is he throws some bad picks here and there that cost the team.
I mean,
the game.
I
That's
saw
the
a game
only like maybe
in
the
the
only
game
thing
in the
he's too
game
much
when
of
he
a
didn't have
gunslinger.
Trent Williams and he didn't have Christian McCaffrey. He threw like 4 interceptions against a very good team, like against the Ravens, right? Yeah. So it's like when you don't have a superstar supporting cast,
rainy game
what do you
too.
look like? What do you look like when you don't have a superstar supporting cast? Like, are you still Brock Purdy?
Look at last year though. Last year was a great.
What was his record last year?
Last year the Niners won 12 games, but I believe he didn't play in all the wins.
So what was his record personally? What was his record personally? Because I remember at one point, you know, Mac Jones was like 4-0 or something crazy like that. So it's
he was 3-5 last year, bro.
Okay, but I thought you won. I thought it was one point he was like 4. I thought he was.
Yeah, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like with the whole thing of like even last year, like for Brock to have 20 tutties, like being injured like that, but he was 7-2 last year.
7-2, okay.
That's my thing, like, bro. It's just very easy to make up these arguments against Brock Purdy, but then when you really,
what was the Niners record last year? You said
we was 12-6, or is it 12-7? Whatever it is. We had 12. Was it? Yeah, 12. We're 18 games.
So Mac Jones had to win 5 games, right? So Mac Jones had to be 5 and something then. If Brock Purdy won 7,
3, my bad.
So
I think I remember at one point he was like 4-0 or something like that. Heck, at one point he was undefeated as the quarterback of your team.
Probably was like on the 2-0. No, he was 5-3. My bad. That's on me. That's on me. Because they had that win against the Rams on Thursday night.
Real quick, man. My guy Ruben with the super chat. My guy, appreciate you supporting the show. He says Purdy is a product of his situation. Throw Purdy on the Bengals, and he's not putting up Burrow numbers. Shanahan runs an offense based off wide zone, naked boots, scheming guys open. I've seen elite QBs drop 45 plus points, games, and win games.
Drop back 45 plus times.
45 plus times, and win games. So, yeah, man. I think you're taking what we're saying is saying that Purdy is not good. We're saying that he's good to.
No. I mean, y'all could say whatever y'all want, but that would never be the case.
He's not elite.
He's not elite. Yeah,
not elite.
Yeah, but y'all haven't. Yeah, this whole time, bro. Y'all have just brought up teammates. Y'all have brought up the system, but you have not looked at the numbers and somebody having to, at the end of the day, put on the helmet and call the plays and run the game.
So the numbers the numbers tell you the whole story.
The numbers tell you everything you need because that's the metric that you're giving Joe Burrow. Like this dude in the comment is saying, if Brock Purdy got two elite receivers like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to throw to, I think he'd be doing pretty good.
But the thing about Brock Purdy has
that to me that's asinine to be saying, bro. He made IU look good.
Like
he made a lot of players look good.
Is Zach Taylor on Kyle Shanahan's level as a play caller?
Brock Purdy don't need that. Brock Purdy a gunslinger since college.
Brock Purdy don't need is.
Are you saying?
You're answering the questions you want to answer. Like this answer question is Zach Taylor on the level
but
Kyle
you know the
Shanahan
answer to it. But I'm saying like asking me if a mediocre head coach is the same as Kyle Shanahan and you know the answer is no, is not going to lead you to whatever conclusion you think is going to lead you to. Because the point I'm making
that's
is
the point though.
I vehemently disagree with the intimation that like you can say Joe Burrow is the reason whenever the Bengals make it to the Super Bowl, it's all because of Joe Burrow. Again, it's just sliding Brock Purdy to make it seem like his head coach is that much more competent than Zach Taylor, who's also been in this position for that. Don't make sense to me.
Okay,
that's a weak argument.
Before 2 years before Brock Purdy got there, they were in the Super Bowl, correct?
Yes.
Okay, when Mac
And
Jones
Jimmy
was starting,
Garoppolo got carried.
No, time out. When Mac Jones was playing for the injury riddled San Francisco 49ers, bust quarterback Mac Jones was 5-3, was he not? What were the quarterbacks when Joe Burrow wasn't playing for the Bengals? What were those guys? They were picking Shamar Thornton in the top of the first round, right?
Yeah.
When Brock Purdy was there the year before, were they not
But
picking?
picking
Mike Hill Williams in the top of the first with Brock Purdy there, right?
But it's the way they constructed their team, though, because you decided to pay.
It's the way they constructed the team.
But but I'm saying you decided to pay your wide receivers, and you don't have linebackers, you don't have running backs, you don't have, even for the Niners, from a lot of people that have been critical about the way they've even developed their offensive line, they've still spent draft picks on it. And like someone like Dominic Puny, who's rolled in and become a starter and is looking like he's going to get a big contract to solidify that line, is a player that comes in, and a lot of people won't see that. And to me, again, if we're going to get into, because Pharaoh brought that up, like it's a team sport and it's a sum of the parts. Well, at the end of the day, if you're going to say that he couldn't do it on another team and then be like, oh, well, it's the players. Yeah, it is. At the end of the day, the players you throw to and the culture that you have to bring in players, develop them. And Brock Purdy, at this point, has made the team confident enough to be like, we're going to draft a young receiver for you, and let's see what you can do with it.
I'm going to ask this question. We can kind of end it off. When did Brock Purdy get his big contract? When did Brock Purdy get his big contract?
It's his second year in the contract right now.
Second year of this contract. And so, and they missed the playoff once and made the playoff once, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see what Brock Purdy looks like when he's on when the 49ers are paying a quarterback a big contract. And he's the guy that has to be the force multiplier. He's not playing with the star-studded team and has the benefit of playing on a cheap contract with a bunch of big contract guys around.
Yeah, I mean that's 6-win season, man. That McCaffrey wasn't there, so if we're gonna credit
but Jimmy G didn't have McCaffrey.
I'm just giving you the asterisk because you brought that up earlier. You said he had McCaffrey, but you say he had McCaffrey next to him his career, and that's really important and boosted him. And I gotta remind you, you said
3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years.
Look, the bottom line is this: Kyle Shanahan is elite. Kittle is elite. Fred Warner is elite. Nick Bosa is elite.
Okay.
But when we talk about the 49ers, we're talking about the team itself being a great team when they've made their runs and deep in the playoffs, going to the Super Bowls. I think you're confusing that, and you're trying to put that.
I'm not confusing it, bro. If George Kittle is elite, someone getting him the ball.
And I just told
getting him the ball.
I just told you, man. They like Kyle Shanahan.
Jawan Jennings almost had 10 touchdowns last year. That don't make sense.
Kyle Shanahan is looked at as the best play caller in the league, and part of the reason how he does that is he gives quarterbacks less to deal with at the line of scrimmage. So that's another reason why that a guy like Brock Purdy, he doesn't have to.
That's not a metric, though.
He doesn't have to do as much as other QBs that are elite, right? Oh man,
that's not a metric, bro. Again, like Kyle Shanahan being a good coach is not a metric. I can't measure Kyle Shanahan being a good coach. I can measure completion percentage. I can measure air yards per throw. I can measure how many interceptions you throw. I can measure your red zone efficiency. I can measure how you command the team in playoff situations, 2-minute drills, 15-yard throws, 25-yard throws. That's what I'm talking about.
You can't measure Kyle Shanahan being a good coach?
I'm saying you can measure it in terms of objectively looking at his record, X's and O's, and that's what you're doing, but you're doing it in a way where you're discrediting someone that's standing in the huddle, calling the plays and executing the plays.
But
that's weird to me. If it takes two people to be elite,
his best season with Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard playing the entire season. That was his most productive year. It was year 2 with Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. So obviously he's an elite player with or without Brock Purdy.
Who are you talking about?
With Jimmy Garoppolo. He did it with Brock. He did it with Brock Purdy.
If you play in a weak schedule and you got George Kittle open,
Dixon says, "Rush Severe defending Moser like this." Hey, jail, bro.
Mendoza got to show me something, right? Look. If
and the only thing is, man, only thing is, remember what I'm saying with this argument, because all you guys have done is brought up how elite Kyle Shanahan is to discredit the proven statistics that are out there for us to see, bro. Like, and my thing is, at some point, whether it's now, Obviously not now, but at some point down the
brother.
line,
It's not to
the
discredit.
rubber's got to meet the road, man, and you
It's
can't
not to
ignore the
discredit
proof
Brock
in the
Purdy.
pudding.
It's not to discredit Brock Purdy. It's to show that other
It's
guys.
discrediting, in my opinion, man. It's
No,
discrediting
because
because you
it's-
haven't
it's
talked
illu-
about any of the
it's-
efficiency metrics that any NFL like person would look at and say, this is what makes an elite quarterback. Everything you brought up is subjective. Like, and that's the narrative with Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan to a larger degree in the media, because that's just the name that comes with it. But I think it's deeper than what people are seeing on the surface. I think it's not a fair assessment to be like, oh, he draws up good X's and O's. Do we use that against Tom Brady? Do we use that against Patrick Mahomes? These dudes ended up coming in and changing systems, right?
No,
for Brock Purdy to lose to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl with 3 seconds left, it's not like he got spanked. So I look at it differently.
So you want to go to that? If you look at that Super Bowl, the 49ers had the advantage at every single position, offense and defense, outside of one, and that was
Besides quarterback.
And
a generational
and Brock
quarterback.
Purdy fucking lost. And he lost.
He didn't lose. What you?
What? Who won? Who won the game? Who won the game?
Patrick Mahomes had the ball last. That's how he won the game.
And he won the game, did he not?
And Patrick Mahomes has sent.
And Brock Purdy threw a costly interception. Did he not? Did Brock Purdy not throw a costly interception?
Probably excuses. It sounds like
I'm not coming up with excuses because Patrick Mahomes has sent a team home in 12 seconds. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes like he's not. Like, bro, we're talking. He's right under Tom Brady, bro.
Elite QB, right? Patrick Mahomes.
And for someone to go head to head with him and lose in an overtime Super Bowl,
time out.
Why would that be such a crazy conclusion to come to, that he's an elite quarterback? He lost to Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That is not a crazy conclusion.
But look, there's another guy that's in Philadelphia who doesn't get a lot of credit.
Yeah,
and they beat the brakes off the Chiefs.
There's
a guy that was up in New York. There's a guy up in New York. He undefeated against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Whooped on his ass twice.
And what did they have to their advantage? They had the better defense, right?
Who had the better defense in that Super Bowl, brother?
I would honestly, bro, if you look at the you say, hey, who's as good as DJ Jones? Who's as good as Jones?
What was the final score? The final
score was
17
good. Does Chris Jones have a defensive player of the year under his belt?
Are we gonna act like Chris Jones was not the wrecking ball that whole playoffs?
Does Chris Jones have a defensive player of the year under his belt?
But you're downplaying again somebody that's proven. You know that's a Super Bowl winning defensive tackle, bro. You know that's a fact.
Player of the year under his belt. Has Chris Jones won defensive player of the year?
Does that discredit the fact that he won a Super Bowl and wreaked havoc in the Super Bowl when they won the Super Bowl? Answering that question, does that change the fact? No, it doesn't. Does that change him winning defensive player? Doesn't change the fact that he was changing the game plan, bro. What you're saying is like, oh, he doesn't have that, so it discredits what you're saying, and that's not that.
You guys have your own game record. You guys have a game record yourself. You guys have
several game records. It's not a defensive tackle, bro. It's not a defensive tackle. It's different. Nick Bosa has been known to not set the edge, and that's exactly what the Chiefs did, is use that against him, because he overcommits and he does not set the edge. And what a lot of teams do is bounce the run back, and that's, I mean, whether that's something y'all want to accept or like that's a completely different thing. But Nick Bosa has been criticized about that since he came into the league. Both Super Bowl losses, that's something that was used against him. He's always overzealous when he's on the line, and he's got a great leverage and a great get off. But it's like, for me, bro, I wouldn't need to say, does a player have all defensive player of the year to prove if he's good or not? That doesn't, to me, that's not how I come to my conclusion about objective data. Like, if it's a subjective argument of like, oh, who looks better in their jersey, who run faster, who do I think is the flyest dude in the build, that's different. But like, when we're looking at performance-based measurements, and everybody want to ignore those things, at what point how can we build consensus if it's just, oh yeah, Lamar is more flashy, Justin Herbert dates a beautiful model. At this point, we're not talking football no more. We're talking about everything peripheral.
Do you think Purdy's better than Lamar?
Nah, I don't.
Okay, then why okay.
I don't think Herbert is better than him, though.
But when I asked you,
I think they're about
to name the QBs, right? Elite QBs.
I don't think so, because he doesn't have the playoff performance to show for it. And Brock Purdy's coming out of historically the most highest winning percentage NFC West in history. That's the first time a division's ever done that. And we know the NFC West doesn't come into play. That's 3 teams every year that are in contention. So when you add all those things up too, there's a higher quality and higher demand for you to win the division out of the NFC West. So anytime people try to write it off to Kyle Shanahan, I just think it's a lazy take, and I'll forever be on that hill. Like, you don't do that. You don't do that in any other circumstance where a quarterback performs.
It's not a lazy take because the
it's lazy, man.
The 49ers.
Andy Reid is single-handedly responsible for Patrick Mahomes' development, everything he does as a quarterback.
He's a big part of the Kansas City Chiefs' success. Yes. He's a big part of it.
He's a big part of it. Hell yeah.
But I don't hear it mentioned in the same way to discredit or like as an undertone.
Because we
say it again.
Andy Reid and Mahomes, Belichick and Tom Brady, coach and QB go hand in hand as far as the success of the team.
Yeah, but not the way that Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy are connected. Because when y'all mention Shanahan, it's like, bro, you know when y'all say Shaq and Kobe, everybody knows Shaq was the enforcer, but Kobe was on the same level, right? There was no like looking down, right? It was.
But earlier in their career,
you can't tell me
Shaq was the better player.
Tell me Shaq winning without Kobe though.
Oh man! Hey.
Early in their career, Shaq was a better player, and Shaq being the alpha early in his career allowed Kobe to turn into what Kobe eventually turned into. But would you ever bring up
either Shaq or Kobe to discredit the other? Because what you're
People
doing
do it all
essentially
the time.
is just
that's why Kobe said it was so. That's why Kobe felt it was so important.
But it doesn't add to the objective conversation we're having, right? Just to say like, oh well, Kobe did this. Well, it doesn't take away Shaq's MVPs. It doesn't take away Shaq's dominance. In the same way, if I said if you take away Shaq from Kobe, it doesn't take away Kobe's dominance because Kobe was dominant. The numbers are objective, bro. Kobe's performances, his clutch factor. So this is what I'm saying. Is if you're gonna judge,
but that's why Kobe
judge these quarterbacks,
himself.
But judge them objectively. That's all I'm asking.
Kobe said himself it was important for him to win the ring without Shaq because the narrative would surround his career that he never won without Shaq. That's why it was imperative for him to get that ring without Shaq, and it was imperative for him to get another one because then they said they would discredit it because it was against Orlando. So that's why it was very important for him to win that ring against Orlando without Shaq, and then get another one against Boston.
Hey, all I can tell you is the Niners fan base, bro, waited a long time to have a quarterback like this. And again, if people come at me and say, hey, he throws a lot of interceptions, he doesn't protect the football, that's something I'm willing to hear. But if you bring up the coach and him drawing up a good game plan, come on, man. How many other quarterbacks we could say that about and discredit them in the same fashion? So again,
if your argument is that a situation is greatly impactful on a player's career, I agree 1,000%. I agree 1,000%.
That's the basis of the conversation, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but there are players who can like exceed what the expectation is. Brock Purdy is not a guy but Brock Purdy's not one of those guys.
No, but what I'm saying is he doesn't fit that mold.
But then we agree. Then we agree.
No, but right now there's nothing saying he's not elite because of what happened last year. Is he did lead a team to the playoffs, had a higher winning percentage than any other season. If you would have extended that to a full season, obviously you got to be on the field. But it's 7-2 is nothing to frown at. That's all I'm saying. 7-2
seasons don't go like that, right? Because there was a point in time that Daniel Jones, if you extend him what Daniel Jones did in the beginning of the year, then he has the greatest season of all. So you can't play seasons like that because a season is a whole season for a reason. Yeah. So you know that there's an attrition that happens. There are people figuring you out as a player. All of that stuff occurs as time goes on. So we can't just extrapolate. Oh, these 5 games, he was the greatest of all. No, I don't like these. Remember that there was a point. If you look at what was my guy that Priest Holmes?
I thought,
like if you look at Priest Holmes. There, like you could take like certain parts of his seasons over the 2-year run that he had, and he had the greatest like 16 games of any running back of all time. But that's not how statistics work. That's not how you can look at things. You have to look at it holistically.
You know, in the beginning, bro, when Brock Purdy was early on, I could have understood the argument that the sample size is small, but like he's going into year 5. Like at some point, you've got to look at the objective metrics, right? Because that's what you're doing for every other player. And then at the end, what I think that poignantly highlights this conversation is like, what we're talking about is game breakers, people that go outside the mold, right? Even if you're in a great system, let's say your coach gets fired, players get injured, who can rise to the occasion, right? Well, isn't that what Brock's done? When there's been chaos, when players have went down, he's just kind of stepped up. In a 6-win season, he didn't have his weapons.
Exactly, bro.
Look, but I'm saying when he don't got McCaffrey, it's a 6-win season, but it's also on the heels of
my guy down.
But it's also on the heels of just too many injuries. So at the end of the day, it's like.
But he just talked about being subjective.
We talked about him not making the playoffs the year before. He's like, man, but Chris McCaffrey was hurt. It's like, now
is that subjective or is that an objective measurement of somebody not being on the field?
But
that's
now
not
you're
subjective.
saying that when guys go down,
somebody's not on the field. But you earlier, bro, earlier you said Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback because he has Christian McCaffrey, and I'm just pointing out.
Elite. I say he
was a good quarterback because he had McCaffrey. That was the insinuation, and I'm just kind of like tying it in. That's the insinuation.
Yeah,
and,
but
look, it's not very strong because you gotta push back a little bit. Like, no, that's not how that goes.
Time out. Okay, let's look at this. The year you guys missed the playoffs, right? Chris McCaffrey was hurt. Correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, you guys had a rash of injuries. Was Chris McCaffrey one of the guys that was hurt?
Last year?
Yeah.
No, but Fred Warner was.
I'll rest my case. We can move on.
No, we're not. I mean, that's not the. You said something about holistic assessment, right? That's not the holistic assessment. That's a partial assessment. I'll give it to you because you know what I'm. If that's the Raider way, I'll fall back. But I just say, bro. If you want to be on the side of understanding the objective metrics, man, you guys got a quarterback that's coming up, and if he starts to succeed, and people are saying it's because of Kubiak, at a certain point, it's gonna get irritating if he starts proving that he's a good quarterback, right?
I would agree. If he starts to succeed, it's because of Kubiak. Yeah. If Genty succeeds this year, I'm gonna say it's because of Kubiak, and the system. I'm gonna point immediately to that.
I guess I'm just completely against giving credit to coaches who don't ever step on the field. Like, to me, that there's a lot of credit that needs to go to the player that's actually executing. It's great to be like, you can draw up a play, but somebody got to get out there and execute. Man, it takes 11 players in tandem. So
I get what you're saying, but like, how do you not give credit to Kyle Shanahan when he got there and turned around that franchise? And like, there was a couple of seasons where they were losing. I don't know, like Jim Harbaugh had them winning a little bit, and there was a little bit of hiatus. There was a few seasons where you guys were kind of like, Chip Kelly was the coach for one, but then, you know, Kyle Shanahan gets there. I think they have like the first season is a little rough, but then ever since then, y'all been winning every season. And Brock Purdy has not been there. How can you not give credit to Kyle Shanahan and what he's done for the 49ers?
I mean, I have given credit to him, but it was like the offense was limited with where Jimmy G was going to take them. So they had to go trade 3 first-round picks for who? Trey Lance.
Right.
Who's no longer a starting prospect. He's now officially a backup QB.
But the thing is,
and then Brock Purdy comes in and takes the job and is 17-4 in his first 21 games.
But
Shanahan never had that unless it was Matt Ryan.
But if you listen to the reports, who was it that Kyle Shanahan actually wanted in that draft class?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones at the time.
It was Mac Jones, right? And what did he do last year with Mac Jones? He went 5-3 with you guys injury riddled as a team. So I mean, so that shows Trey Lance is what he was. He's like a.
I mean, do you prefer 5-3? Do you prefer 5-3 or 7-2 though?
I'm not, but I don't think Mac Jones is a better quarterback
than Brock Purdy.
What's
better though? 7-2.
I don't think Mac Jones was a bust and an afterthought. People thought he would be out of the league.
You think he's a bust after having a? Wasn't he rookie? Didn't he have a crazy rookie year?
Mac Jones is 5-3.
Mac
He was
Jones
5-3
5-3
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a crazy rookie
Yeah,
year, and know why? Part of the reason why he had a crazy rookie year because he had Josh McDaniels there, and then as soon as he didn't have Josh McDaniels and he had Joe Judge and Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinators, then he wasn't Mac Jones anymore, right? He was a bust. And then he gets with Kyle Shanahan and he wins 5 games on an injury-riddled team in the toughest division in all of football. So obviously, he's a pretty good player, and if you give Kyle Shanahan a guy that can run his system, he can win you games. Mac Jones proved that.
Real quick,
Yeah,
let me
I think
address
it's-
I'm talking about. I know Mac Jones, but I'm talking about.
But it's
like
just
Mac-
it's
I
just
know
a clear it's just a clear in
Let
my
me
opinion
address
there's
the
just
super
a
chat real
clear
quick.
there's a clear difference in how the offense operates when Brock Purdy's under there compared to anybody Kyle Shanahan has had. The efficiency proves it, the wins prove it. I mean, if you go cut the tape, don't cut the tape of the last game against the Seahawks, but cut the tape on against the Eagles. They were not supposed to win that game.
Real quick, let me address the super chat. Ruben, again, man, appreciate the super chat. He says, Jimmy G, great production, playoff production in the system. Darnold, productive. If Mac Jones played the whole year, he would have been a top 10 efficient QB. Is he a top 10 QB? No. Purdy has a mid-arm. Look, man.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we gonna be mid winning 12 games a season. You know what I'm saying?
Look, but I think you give Kyle Shanahan a quarterback that can run his system. I think he's gonna manufacture 10 to 12 wins. I think it's just what he does.
Yeah, and the thing is,
I would just go back to I don't think that's an objective take, bro.
Okay. Darnold just won a Super Bowl, right? Is he an elite QB?
I actually had a conversation with a friend about this. He's won 14 games in back-to-back seasons. So, like, if he comes back next year and does something even anywhere close to that, how can we in our right mind argue that he's not?
So I think he's been. I think he's been.
He's creeping up. Like, he's creeping up.
I think he's been the product of guys. I think he's been a product of being in the same system consistently. He was with Kyle Shanahan. And then he went to Kevin O'Connell, who runs a similar system. And then he was with Clint Kubiak, who's obviously a Kyle Shanahan and Gary Kubiak disciple. So he had the benefit of being in a very similar system 3 consecutive years.
So if he has like another, let's say they win 10 to 12 games next year, that would be a 14-win season with Minnesota, a 14-win season with the Seahawks, and a Super Bowl victory, and then coming back to win another 12. That would be 28 plus 12. Like, we're looking at 40 wins in 3 years. But at what point is he a part of that? Is what I'm asking.
I think he's part of it. I think he's part of it.
I asked you a question though. I said, is he an elite QB? I'm asking you right now. Is he an elite QB?
I mean, based off the objective metrics, he would have to be. Because they had Geno in the system, and Geno couldn't get them where they got. Like, to me, you can also measure. They had
Geno in the system.
No, they had Geno with the Seahawks, right?
Different system.
Clint wasn't there though. It was the guy from.
So
they
had essentially the same parts, though, right?
Year. Yeah, Mike McDaniel fired him after one season.
Right.
Yeah, so they had some of the pieces around there though, like that remained, right? The receiving group, the running back core, pretty much was a continuous group, right? And you brought the right system in. And again, bro, systems do highlight players, but at the end of the day, the players got to go out there and execute these games.
Yeah, but also one of the big it was a different system, and one of the biggest thing they did was they replaced Cooper Kupp with DK Metcalf, and we know that, and they made JSN the focal point of the offense, took him out of the slot, put him more outside, and then they also did
he was more involved,
yeah.
But
so that was part of it as well.
And it's like it's even a lot of people have said like the Niners haven't had a real receiver that can take the top off of defenses like that, right? It's always been a yards after catch element to them, right? And so a lot of people have been bringing up Dejon Stribling because it's like they haven't had a player who has size and speed to match. And so, like, for me, when I hear about Ricky Pearsall being injured, like, in my mind, Ricky Pearsall has been injured since last year. So he's been off the team. And I look at this as like an opportunity for other players to step in. And in that same breath, like, I would have to say, like, from what I've seen from Sam Darnold since he's left San Francisco and joined the Vikings, he's had one bad playoff game in 2 years.
So, okay,
what would not make him elite? How did his career?
How did you view Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback for the 49ers?
I thought he was incompetent.
He was incompetent, but he
I
won
thought he was incompetent. I thought he
won a
held
lot
the
of
team
football
back.
games. He won a lot of football
I thought
games.
he won a lot of football games, but when push came to shove, when the defense couldn't get, when the defense couldn't get a stop for you, and you needed to get that final drive, or you needed to make that 30-yard throw, I didn't believe in Jimmy Garoppolo, and a lot of fans would tell you, you watch enough Thursday night games, Monday night football games where the team is not even efficient in the red zone, not able to score.
So who was who was the MVP of the Super Bowl, Dow?
Which in this recent Super Bowl,
Yeah, who was MVP?
it was Kenneth Walker, right?
Yeah, who was the best player for the Seahawks throughout that playoff run, the Dow, offensively?
Bro.
You just said the answer already.
Because I was gonna say Ernest. I was gonna say like Ernest Jones or like someone on the.
Oh, no, I'm talking about offensively. Offensively.
Honestly, I wouldn't give you a name offensively because I think there were some of the parts offensively. But if it's like
it was Kenneth Walker. It was Kenneth Walker through the playoff run for the Seahawks. That's part of the reason why Kenneth Walker is ranked as a top 10 running back, even though he barely rushed for 1,000 yards and only rushed for like 6 touchdowns or something like that, right? He barely rushed for 1,000 yards.
Zach Charbonnet was taking all his tutties though. In the
exactly, Zach Charbonnet was taking all his tutties. So he barely rushed for 1,000 yards in the timeshare. Didn't even get double-digit touchdowns, but he's considered a top 10 back. Know why he's considered a top 10 back? Because because he carried the Seahawks offensively to the Super Bowl. Part of Sam Darnold being so good in the playoffs, Sam Darnold wasn't great. He just didn't turn the ball over. He's like, I want to say he's the first quarterback in the Super Bowl era to not turn the ball over throughout the entire playoffs and win the Super Bowl.
Is that elite to you?
The driving force behind that was Kenneth fucking Walker.
Is that elite to you, or is that just Kenneth Walker helping him?
No, that's running a system.
So I mean, like, at what point though does someone get rewarded for pulling 40 snaps and doing exactly what they were supposed to do? Because to me, that's part of the game. Like, that's how you measure your mental capacity and your ability to run the offense. Like, you can have a great coach, you can have all, like a coach has his 40 play drive that he's going to start the game out with, right? And they're just going to keep running to these plays. But at the end of the game, I might need you to just call a play. You just audible at the line. You're telling me like Kenneth Walker was doing all that? You're telling me Kenneth Walker, like, and that's all I'm saying is you don't have to, for you to highlight someone's talent, you don't have to deduct somebody's efficiency or reduce it to it being a byproduct of somebody else being there, because we understand this is 11 men on the field working together for a common goal. So I just, that's my point. Like, if somebody's efficient, it usually takes 2 or 3 to tango. So why is it only in certain dynamics we hear who's responsible for that success when it should always just be efficient production that can be measured with data? That's all. That's the crux of my argument. Like, players can make these fabulous throws, fabulous catches, but the metrics don't change. We know what those metrics are. So I would just like going into this next season to do less of, hey, Kyle Shanahan, or hey, Joe Brady, or hey, so-and-so, and just look at execution first as the measurement to me.
But it's hard for me to put Brock Purdy as an elite QB because this is pretty much the main conversation. We've been on it for a minute, but we appreciate everybody watching, man. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that.
Let's get to 100, man. We at 86. Let's go. Run it up. Tell your friend, man. Send this to somebody else, bro.
Yeah, but it's hard for me to put him in elite quarterback just because it's a lot of different variables on the football team that make the 49ers great. And in situations where it was just Brock Purdy, he had to make it happen. We haven't seen it enough, or we haven't seen it yet. Can he go ahead and do that? That's going to add another layer to the story. Can he go ahead and do that? It'll add another layer to his career, his story. Then you could be like, you know what? As great as Kyle Shanahan is, as looked at as a top 3, arguably the best play caller in the NFL, a guy that's always had a pretty good offense out there, great run game, great players on offense and defense. He's had all of this, but Brock Purdy he can continue to show, like everybody else, that he can get the job done. Then we can start he can start creeping up in that top 10 into that maybe possible top 5, but we just haven't seen it. And you're trying to use certain numbers, but it's like at the end of the day, like when I asked you like who was elite, you named 5 or 6 QBs, then Brock Purdy. And then you also said, well, how many players are elite? Well, 3 to 5, right? Or five players. You said 5. I think it's 3
It's
to 5.
5 max, basically, yeah.
Yeah, but you named Brock Purdy outside of that. And literally the main thing that we've been saying, me and Severe, we can both agree, is we've been saying that he's good to pretty good. So wouldn't you say that he would fall under that category if we're saying good to pretty good?
In that case, like, that's what I'm saying is we've had to play this consensus game, right? Because you and Severe are saying Brock Purdy's not elite. I have to accept that because you guys don't want to look at the metrics that every NFL insider or anybody associated with the NFL would look at.
You said it though.
I'm saying Joe Burrow's talent is something like I'm not gonna be a homer, and just because I'm trying to make an argument, I'm not gonna discredit that. But you can make more of an argument for him not being able to finish out a season than Brock Purdy. Joe Burrow has had more injury scares than Brock Purdy. So that's why I'm like, if we're comfortable giving someone with that kind of history the elite status, then Brock Purdy is someone who has a more recent playoff win than Joe Burrow in retrospect. So I'm like, in my mind, me being fair and including these people doesn't mean I'm accepting your ranking. I'm just saying this is the consensus. This is what I'm hearing. And if these are the players you rank ahead of Brock, that's why I specifically said Herbert. I'm like, what has Herbert done to even get that consideration?
We didn't say that. We didn't.
Some people do. Not you guys.
We're the same tier. I think if you put Herbert in the Kyle Shanahan system, you see a different guy.
Hey, guess what? Mike McDaniel is his offensive coordinator. So
yep.
That's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see Kyle Shanahan disciple.
So like, so if this year Brock Purdy throw for like if he has a similar season to 2023, are y'all gonna give it to? Is gonna be because of Kyle Shanahan or is it because of Brock Purdy? Like, what does he need to do to get into that elite category? Because everything that he will do will always be credited to Kyle Shanahan. So he needs to win a Super Bowl. Like, how does this work?
I mean, it's gonna be tough, because he's
that's what y'all saying essentially, right?
He's working under Kyle Shanahan. It's gonna be tough. I mean, he has to transcend the system. He has to transcend the system. He hasn't done anything that has.
And I'm saying he has, but y'all saying like my measurement was Jimmy Garoppolo was what everybody said was the most elite and best version of Kyle Shanahan, and then Brock Purdy came in and made us forget about Jimmy Garoppolo.
So he had a breakout year in 2022 where I think he threw for 31 touchdowns. And his only 4,000-yard season. Every other season after that was 20 touchdowns or less. Now, to be fair though, he
didn't play full seasons. Yeah,
he didn't play a full season last year, and then I'm not sure the other 2 or 3 seasons where he had like 20 touchdowns or less. So he had one breakout year, but he was winning football games. So like there's that part of it. But I'm like, it's hard for me to put him elite. Like if he continues to just taking his game to another level, winning football games on top of like him, because you asked the question, what does he have to do? If he's winning football games, he's breaking his own personal records as far as like throwing 30 plus touchdowns, another 4,000-yard season, making a deep playoff run, especially with this current 490 team, which to be honest with you, is probably on a downward trend. Of where they're at right now. They're getting older. This is probably their last. They're gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah, like the last hoorah kind of.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens the next few seasons after the season, because the players are getting old. They're getting hurt. You know, there's that. So if he's able to put another a great season, so a great season in his for him would be probably throwing at 30 plus touchdowns, 4,000 yards. And making a playoff run, a deep playoff run, and it's clearly he's the best player on offense or best player on the team because he's carrying the team on offense. Because I know Fred Warner's on the other side. Like, I don't want to take anything away from him because he's been that elite dude. But I think that's what we got. Once you start doing that, I think everybody's gonna be on notice.
And you know, I think how you summed it up is exactly what it is, because when I watch the Niners season, I genuinely feel like the regular season is kind of like on autopilot, right? Because I know the narrative won't shift until playoff success, it essentially culminates in a Super Bowl victory. That's all the Niners need to do to get that stamp of approval, right? And if that's the standard, like as a fan of a team like that has that expectation of winning, that's great. But in that same breath, I kind of feel like, man, it's totally unfair, because I think when we have great talents like that in front of us, we find ways to discredit them. And again, like everybody's, I did learn about like the assessment of how quarterbacks are done, but I don't think that same assessment doesn't, I don't think, go to other positions, right? Because QB is just so unique in that way.
But it's true.
like-
It's true in all sports, though. Like you brought in basketball, right? You use basketball as an example to compare it. But even Kobe understood that, and he understood that, like, hey, look, he wanted to win without Shaq, right? So he basically threatened the Lakers that I would leave, or if I had to play with Shaq, and Shaq got traded. So he wanted to prove that he could win without Shaq, which he ended up doing, because he understood the narrative. As great as he was playing with a all-time top 10 player right next to him. So it is what it is. Like it's just part of the game. Like you gotta like go out there and prove it, and that's what athletes are very competitive. You got to go out there and you got to prove it. Like he plays for a great coach, and it's not just any type of great coach. He's a great offensive mind, one of the best play callers. He has a great system. His system is literally influencing the entire NFL. Literally, the Raiders Raiders head coach comes from that system, that outside zone scheme system. So like you gotta like you have to acknowledge.
So do you? So like in that respect though, like do you think that same stigma is going to be attached to Mendoza? Because I mean, Severe, you said earlier, like if he is successful, if Genty is successful, like I will give that credit to them outright, right? So like,
no, I said I'll give it to Kubiak.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you would give it to Kubiak outright, like because he's a force majeure for that. So like,
but look, I'm the outlier, because I don't think Mendoza is that great of a prospect. I think he was in a great system under Kurt Signetti. We see what people say about Fernando Mendoza that they weren't saying about the quarterback they had the year before, the dude from Canada. I forget his name. Goddamn. They weren't saying that guy. They only lost 2 games a year before, and the 2 teams they lost to were Notre Dame and Ohio State, the 2 teams that were in the national championship. And they didn't have the talent, and it was Signetti's first year coming from James Madison, with a bunch of transfers coming from James Madison, playing their first year in Division One football or Power 5 football rather. So like, but nobody was talking about that quarterback, who you guys have. Matter of fact, you guys drafted him. What's
you talking about? Curtis Rourke?
Curtis Rourke. Nobody was talking about Curtis Rourke like he was some elite prospect. He only lost 2 games to the 2 teams that were in the national championship game. So like I said, I feel that Fernando Mendoza, who's a good prospect because of some of the tools and intangibles that he has, but he was a product in the system. And so I think you kind of got to factor that in. And that's why the Raiders, I think that's part of the reason why they brought in a guy like Kubiak, who's going to implement a system. Is going to make it simple. That system has been shown that if you have a quarterback that's going to make good decisions, not be careless with the football, has a good processor, he's going to be able to have success in that system. We've seen it happen with Sam Darnold. We've seen it happen with Brock Purdy. We've seen it happen with Jimmy Garoppolo. So now we have another guy that's going to be able to do the same thing.
I think it's different. I think, Severe, you're taking it all the way to the extreme of saying that it's all Kubiak. I think it's a different narrative than Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. I think with Kubiak being a first-time head coach, there's a little bit of like, we don't know what to expect from him, right? Then you got a young quarterback like Mendoza. The Raiders have been trash for a long time. The quarterback situation, the quarterback position has been terrible for a long time, or for the last few seasons. For a large stretch, Derek Carr was a quarterback, but he was solid. He was solid to good quarterback. But if we get a Mendoza, if Mendoza come in and be productive, win football games, go to the playoffs, and actually put up great numbers and all the things that you see how like the narrative with him is going to be a lot different than a Brock Purdy or any of the QBs that came before.
Because Kubiak isn't established isn't established. Like Kyle Shanahan, he's stamped. He's done it with other guys. With Kubiak, he's going to be a rookie head coach with a rookie OC. You know, Kubiak. You know, the Raiders haven't had any kind of
Y'all
success
don't,
for a
but y'all
long
don't, y'all
time.
don't, y'all
You
don't
guys
think.
were in the Super Bowl
Hey,
a few
I
years
was gonna
before
ask you
Brock
too,
Purdy
bro.
took over.
No, like, cause you know, during before Shanahan got with the Niners, that was the 28-3 loss to the when 28-3 Patriots came back and beat them, right? So like, Kyle
Yeah,
Shanahan
against
was coming
Falcons.
into he was coming into that Niners job on the heels of a Super Bowl loss. Like Kubiak coming in on the heels of a Super Bowl win. So I don't know
Yeah,
if that plays into it, but it's like I think you have way more leeway when you come in from any
but
organization that's in the Super Bowl game.
Well,
Period.
he's an
yeah,
assistant.
When he
the
gets
thing people
it's
said
got
about
to be some
Shanahan is
bullshit
that
involved.
Shanahan can't win a big game. He still ain't won a big game. So I mean, that stigma still is there. It's kind of there with him. I mean, they say he gets too conservative in those big games, so that stigma still
Yeah.
sits with him. But we're saying that what Shanahan has done as a head coach, you know,
Like
for
record-wise, body of work.
record-wise, going to the Super Bowl, going to NFC Championship game, what he's done as a head coach before Brock Purdy got there. That's why it's going to look different if Mendoza has success, because we don't have that same level of track record with Mendoza or with Kubiak that
And
Shanahan had.
Mendoza would be credited a large part of
He'll
it
be
if he
accredited with a
hasn't
large part
played
just
it, yeah.
because they're both coming in at the same time. Obviously, he's the number 1 overall pick. People kind of are like I say it all the time. Like people will have preconceived notions about you based on what they think you should do. That was my argument last year with Genty. People had, Genty is supposed to be this Barry Sanders 2.0.
Yeah.
And so when he doesn't do that, it's not his fault. It's everybody else's fault because he is already this in my brain. So if he's not what I think he already is, then it can't be him. It has to be everybody else. And that's kind of what it's going to be with Mendoza. That Mendoza is already the savior.
People are looking for confirmation bias, bro.
It's confirmation bias. So if Mendoza is already the savior, then if Mendoza has success, they're going to say Mendoza is the savior. If Kubiak is supposed to be this, that's how it works.
Yeah, man. Hey, we 5 away from 100, man. We really getting into it today. Let's go, man. Run it up, man.
You got it started by saying Purdy was elite, man. We couldn't let it go. We couldn't let it go.
I had to because I wanted to walk us down this road, bro. Because down the line, as we continue to keep coming back here, if he like, I agree with you. I think he's got to keep a low interception to touchdown ratio. Like, obviously, you want to get above 30 touchdowns. That's what is expected of an elite quarterback, right? That shows you have command. And like, I think at some point, like, Mendoza will get the starting nod, right? Whether it's Kirk Cousins playing bad or Kirk Cousins maybe getting injured, whichever one ends up happening. But if it does, it's a great development year. That's something that not a lot of franchises have.
Real quick, man, before we get out of here, man, because I know we went on a tangent talking about Brock Purdy and where he stood as an elite quarterback, pretty good quarterback. But and you brought up Mendoza. Hey, look, at the end of the day, it's early. The pads haven't come on, but so far so good for what we've been hearing. Mendoza's been pretty sharp, depending on where you're hearing it from. That's a whole different conversation. But like,
five-step drop real good from what I heard, bro.
Yeah. Now, but pretty much he's been looking good, a lot better than what he's looked in OTAs. There's obviously an obvious improvement. So I want to ask you guys this: if it's close between Cousins throughout training camp, like it's pretty close, like who the quarterback performance and what they've done and what they've shown to the coaches. At the end of the day, they're the ones that's making the decision. Do you think that Mendoza would get the starting nod week 1, or are they still gonna go with Cousins? Because if it's close, like it'd be one thing to say like, okay, Cousins obviously the veteran quarterback, he has the edge. But if it's close, like if you put everything all together with Mendoza giving you a little bit more athleticism at the quarterback position, better arm, you know what I mean? Young gun back there, and he's basically soaking up that playbook. He has a good command, but obviously, Cousins, he's the veteran. He's been in this system before, and it's pretty close. Who would you give the edge to, Adel?
I mean, I'm gonna act like I haven't seen the reports coming out of Las Vegas and entertain this question right here. It would have to be Mendoza outright. Like, there's a historic quarterback class next year, and if there's any franchise who's in transition that could easily draft another quarterback next year, it's the Raiders, right? you're trying to find that quarterback of the future. And obviously that's me jumping the gun, right? But if it's close, you got to go Mendoza for the simple fact that it allows you to get a preview of how much he can take on his plate. And then beyond that, are there supplementary pieces we could add around him to highlight whatever skills he brings to the table? And then, nothing happens without live reps. So it'd be nice to see how he commands the team. But it's a catch-22 because there's a lot of good quarterback prospects next year as well. But I think the Raiders have, dug their feet into the ground, so to speak. They're ready to build the foundation. And I think what better time than now? But all signs probably point to him playing mid-season, probably like after week 9, week 10, starting late into the season.
Okay. Severe, who you got? If it's close.
I'm not going to act like I haven't read the reports. But I'll say this. I'm not going to just speed past what a dial said. I'm going to speed past it. If we do the Arizona Cardinals, bro, I am dragging John Spytek out of Henderson by the collar on his polo shirt and stomping a mud hole in this man. If you wasted the number 1 overall pick and the guy I didn't want, and you mess around and have to draft another guy next year because Mendoza was such a failure that, bro, yeah, no, bro. I got to put hands and feet on Spytek, but at that point, bro, I got to.
My bad, bro. My bad. I triggered you, bro. My bad.
I doubt if they do that though. But if it's close, man, like I said, at this point, Kubiak has already made his intentions clear. Brady has made his intentions clear. Spytek has kind of made his intentions clear. If it's close, it's going to go to Cousins. I think it's a situation where Fernando has to go out there and snatch the job. If you want to be the starting quarterback for this team, you have to outperform Cousins by such a substantial margin where it's like it will be an embarrassment to the organization if Fernando Mendoza isn't the week 1 starter. If it's close, they're going to go the safe route. They're going to go Cousins until they see exactly what they have in terms of offensive line. We've already hearing our wide receivers are trash. Where have you heard that before? But like the only people catching passes in practice is Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers and Genty, who is a good pass catcher, and that I think Kubiak will be able to utilize because that's something he does like to do. So like those are only people catching passes. So like, they don't want to subject Fernando Mendoza to that kind of offensive weaponry or that kind of offensive line. So if it's close, they're gonna let Cousins take that beating for as long as they can.
So there's nothing to say when, let's say, if it's close, and then like you got players in the locker room who believe like, man, Mendoza should be out there. Like we feel like, man, he gives us a good chance to win, because if it's close, that means it's probably players see that. Players see like what Mendoza's doing in practice. Players see the clear arm strength that Mendoza has over Cousins, or the clear athleticism that he has over Cousins. Everybody's seen that video of him apparently Cousins apparently trying to run.
Oh yeah, that was nasty. That was nasty.
It was nasty. It was nasty. But to be fair though, like that's not Cousins' game. He's a pocket quarterback,
and he's coming off Achilles injury too. So it's like like he ain't about to pop no Achilles doing wind sprints, bro. In July.
Right. But what I'm saying is that does the locker room play a factor too as well? Like when coaches make decisions, like do they also look at the players are also going to notice like.
Man, this is a locker room. This is a locker room in transition. I think players are probably not even solid in their positions just yet. And like, if you're a person who's maybe in the contract year or maybe a year away from contract year, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket until you know, for all intent purposes, like who's the guy, But that's why these next like 3 weeks are very interesting, right? Because the pads come on and Mendoza might turn it up another level, right? Because I don't like to see the highlights of players running, especially receivers running routes and catching without the pads, because I'm like, that's not the entire game, right? There's just so much more that comes into play when you're thinking about leverage, body positioning, and then also getting your feet to remain in bounds to haul in the catch. So I think Mendoza has a great opportunity over the next 3 weeks to stop looking at Kirk Cousins as like a big brother mentor and really like how he treated his first day in college football, right? Just you got to go take that job from someone else and be the man. So
yeah. And the one thing about Mendoza, you got to give him credit, and he's shown that in college, is that he's gotten better. Mm-hmm. More reps he's got, the more and that speaks to his hard work. You know what I mean? The time that he's put in. So as time goes on, like I wouldn't really say that he's not gonna have a chance to start right away. If anything, it could be a situation like, and I threw this out there, I was talking about like that Jackson Dart, Russell Wilson situation where, you know, Russell Wilson started the season, first, 2-3 games of the season, and then like, you know, they gave way to Jackson Dart, and then the Giants hit the ground running with him. And you can see the big difference, the energy, the spark, even though he was a young quarterback and he, you know, there were certain young, inexperienced things that he was doing, but you could see the energy that he gave the football team. And like, it was a clear difference when he was in there than when Russell Wilson was in there. So it might be a situation Mendoza comes in a little bit earlier, maybe not week 1, but maybe like 2-3 weeks in the season 2 as well.
Yeah, I think the Giants situation. The Giants situation is different because Brian Daboll was grasping. He was fighting for his life. He was fighting for his life. Like
he said, "All right, go ahead and get in there, bro.
I'm fighting for my life. You're killing me." Like he was out there fighting for his life, man. So he needed a spark, bro. He had the stick in the wood and was twisting it and blowing it. He was doing whatever he can to get some fire going to keep his job, bro. So that's why that situation is different. Kubiak, bro, he's comfortable and he's entrenched in his job. He ain't going nowhere. The Raiders have made that mistake before. I don't think they're doing it this year. So they're gonna keep him. And so I think they're gonna slow cook this thing, man. Like I said, that this is a slow cooker, not a pressure cooker, right? They're gonna take the time. They're gonna develop Mendoza right. Firstly, because we see what Mendoza is as a worker and as a guy who is very diligent about improving as a player. And if you give him like space, time, and opportunity, he will make those strides. But what I also see from Mendoza, well, I don't want to say I see, but he just gives me the feeling where he's a guy where his psyche can be fractured. He's a very positive person. He's very, jubilant and is always happy, and he's buoyant. And I think if you subject him to a constant stream of just getting beat on and losing and non-success, I think that can have a very detrimental effect on a person like that. And you don't want to do that to a young player, especially a guy like that.
Yeah, man. But real quick, just go over. We're about to get out of here, but I just want to go over some of the quick highlights for the Raiders training camp. Malik Benson has been coming in. Was 6th round pick at wide receiver from Oregon. Yeah, he's been kind of like been rotating in with the ones. That's something to keep an eye on because obviously the Raiders wide receiver room is kind of like there's a lot of inexperience. They're really the starting position haven't been really solidified. I think Jalen Naylor is a guy that they gave a contract to, so most likely he's going to be a starter. Trey Tucker is a guy they talked about a lot, so probably going to start on the outside, but they've been rotating a lot of guys with the ones, and that includes Jack Besh, Dante Thornton, Malik Benson, who's a rookie.
Disgusting ass list of receivers. This is disgusting, bro. It's trash. This sounds like the Rod Streeter, Lewis Murphy year. This is whack, bro.
It's so ugly. It's ugly. But do you think Benson has a chance to play some meaningful snaps this season?
Yes. Yes. Who else would it be, bro? Who would it be? Who does he have to beat out? Jack Besh and Dante Thornton? It's like, yeah, hell yeah, he gonna get on the field, bro. I'd expect it.
Yeah.
But that's the benefit of being in this situation, right? Where the position room is relatively open and it's kind of like unproven. That's always, I think, a recipe for, obviously a lot of times it's a recipe for disaster, but I think you guys have an offensive system where, again, guys can carve out roles for themselves. So maybe instead of getting one receiver who can give you that production, it might be a wide receiver room by committee. So understanding what each player brings to the game so that when they're subbed in, you guys have an understanding like, okay, this guy's a deep threat. This guy's going to be an intermediate type of receiver. And then this guy's a yards after catch, maybe a bruiser type of, receiver. But again, it's really interesting to see, like, on the heels of the World Cup, all the teams have removed the natural grass and gone back to the turf or semi-turf, whatever they have. And So I'm gonna keep a close eye on the injuries and try to see if there's, any, like, I guess, connection between that, right? Which teams suffer more injuries, and hopefully there'll be an NFL season coming here in the near future where natural grasses, I think that's been on top of my mind for a minute, man.
Oh yeah,
I'm just hoping, because we're having all these great conversations, and the only thing that can really curtail potential development or somebody's skill set is untimely injuries. So if that's like a variable that can be controlled, obviously, a lot of the players, George Kittle was, I think, one of the leading voices there. But Nick Bosa is another
Mark
player.
Davis, you know what I mean? He's an owner that believes in that. Obviously, he has the team on natural grass too as well, with that beautiful stadium out there in Vegas. Real quick, man. Just want to move along real quick. Severe. The other day we talked about the cornerback position. Look, man, it's a battle going on at CB2. Masses has been a guy that's been thrown out there. Darian Porter's obviously battling out there. McCoy hasn't switched in with the ones yet. I'm hearing that he's been with the 2s and 3s. Gerard McCoy, obviously a guy that was projected to go top 10. He has no limitations to be out there, which is a good sign. He's out there. You think when it's all said and done, is he going to have a chance to compete at that number 2 spot, or is it between Porter and Masses right now?
I think it's going to be between Porter and Masses. I don't think they want to subject McCoy to a full 16, 17 games of starting as outside corner, which is probably one of the more, almost like, not in terms of abuse, but just in terms of the athleticism and movement needed. Like, cornerback is probably the most physically demanding position, maybe in all the sports, because you're dealing with some of the best athletes in the world. You can't really put your hands on them. You have to cover for extended periods of time. You starting, stopping, jumping in the air. It's like there's a lot of demands put on your body as a corner, and you don't want like, I don't think they want Jamal McCoy out there doing all of that this early for like a consistent 17 games. So I think early in the season, I already said, I think it's Hezekiah Masses. I think he's going to end up beating out Porter. And I think Jermont McCoy, I think he probably finishes the year as a starter. That wouldn't be surprised by that. But I think they're going to kind of bring him along.
That's more likely.
Yeah,
definitely more likely.
Either way, man, if we can get a guy that's that talented on the football field and eventually starting, that's a great sign for the Raiders' future, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Like, we need a guy like that. That kind of takes it to the level. You think about it.
You can only imagine too, bro. Like, he's gone with your strength and conditioning team now too. So everything that he was doing in college to get that strength back in his knee, it's like now he's just fully focused on that as opposed to going to class or whatever, right? So hopefully his body can keep up, man, because Ricky Pearsall is another talented player. It's like these injuries, you can't elude them, right? You just hope they go away.
Hey, man, we ain't got no substations out in Vegas. Right next to the
hey, all right, man, all right. Y'all got a free plot of land? We need a practice facility, bro. Give it to us on the border.
Nah, but
man, I know some people that know some people, man. Have them holler at me.
I got you, man. We'll let them know,
Another day, and the same offensive line starters have been put out there. Like, it's been pretty consistent all off season. It looks like. And I said this, and I keep going back to, like, the offensive line coach, Rick Dennison, who literally was like, when asked about who he wants, about the starting position, he wants the starting 5 figured out as soon as possible. And this was earlier in the offseason, and we've consistently seen the same 5 out there, from Colt Miller, from left to right. Colt Miller, Spencer Buford, Linderbaum, JPJ, and obviously Glaze have been the starters. So it's looking like that's going to be the starting 5 offensive line. I mean, do you see anything changing, Severe? Because especially based off those comments, and now that I'm seeing like the same 5, it looks like this is what he wants. Especially an experienced offensive line coach, he knows how to get the best out of O-line, and he knows a big part of that is chemistry with all 5 guys out there. And he knows that, like, the more you put out the same starting 5, it's gonna equal to success out there? Do you think that there could be a possible change? Because I know there was some talk maybe at guard there might be a little competition, but nothing's really changed.
Yeah, I mean, like you said before, man, he's already stressed, having that consistency and that chemistry in the unit. So I think if these are the guys that have been basically had the job since they first rolled out starting offensive line, I think barring something either crazy happening where somebody makes some crazy leap or something catastrophic happening where a guy gets injured, I'm pretty sure this is going to be the unit we run with. We look at Burford, who is he has a lot of experience in the league, but he's a young guy. I think he's only like 25 or something like that.
Right.
He is the guy they got Kyle, they got Brock sacked, I want to say, or got Brock hit on that interception he threw. So you do have to put that caveat out there. So he could be part of the reason why the 49ers don't have a Super Bowl. And just for that, we should give him a starting job.
Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate you, bro.
But obviously he knows the system. He has experience. To this point, it looks like Coach Rico trusts him, and I keep saying it, right? Kubiak was the head coach. I know a lot of people were really happy that Kubiak got hired as a head coach. My favorite hire this entire process has been Coach Rick Dennison. I stressed how important offensive line hire was last year, which is why I was so upset that we didn't let the guy that hired Jeff Stoutland make that hire last year, and we gave that privilege and honor to the coach's son after we drafted a running back in the top 10. And usually your offensive line coach is the guy who's your run game coordinator as well. So we made the mistake last year. I'm glad that we didn't make that same mistake this year. We hired a guy like Rick Dennison, who we know has the experience, not only with Clint, but last year with Mike McDonald, but also all those years with Gary. So I think this is a fantastic hire. I'm going to trust in him, just based on what he's done in the past.
Yeah, we'll see, and I know we can probably just look at when we look at the starting five and we look at the individual player and we can break him down and be like, man, what is this guy doing starting out there? But it's about putting the best five out there. So meaning that the best five that work well together, and chemistry doesn't really mean individually everybody has to be elite or great or pretty good. It just means that they work well, especially with the offensive line. So if Buford could work well with Colton Miller and Linderbaum over there, and Linderbaum having an elite center and having a pretty good left tackle, top 10, top 12 left tackle, that might make Spencer Few look a little bit better. You know what I mean? Because you got one of the best centers in football. Then you got a pretty good outside the top 10 on a good year, maybe a top 10 left tackle there. Less on his plate at left guard for Spencer Buford. So maybe we might be able to get the best out of him. And then you get JPJ. Hopefully he stays healthy and we get the best version of him. And obviously Glaze, he goes out there. I mean, I have my reservations. There's guys that I want to see get an opportunity. But hey, look, I'm gonna like Severe said, man. I'm gonna trust Rick Dennison to figure it out, because obviously he has a whole lot of experience in that department and success. So hopefully we can get an improved offensive line play, because the last few years it's been terrible. So and I think a lot of the success this year, not even just winning the football games, you could probably point to that, but just seeing a presentable offense, having a really good run game. A lot of it just stems from Raiders just improving on the offensive line. So hopefully we get to see that this year. Well, last but not least, one thing I want to touch on is the running back room. So far, we've heard that Mike Washington, he's taken some second team snaps, but Dylan Lobby has kind of taken over some of those snaps. Do you think that Severe? Do you think that that's going to be a position where they're going to give a young rookie an opportunity to start not start, but just be that number 2 back behind Genty, or they're going to get a veteran, or is it going to be a guy like Lobby that takes the spot?
I think it's going to be the rookie. I think it's going to be Washington. He's been taking some first team reps as well, so I guess I don't read too much into the rep distributions. I think they just want to see a different mix of guys with these different units and just see how they respond to it. But I do feel Mike Washington is going to be RB2. I think just from a physical gift standpoint, he's the most physically gifted running back we have on our team. Now he doesn't bring you the same kind of experience that Genty has. Obviously, Genty has incredible contact balance, and Genty's also very underrated as a receiver. And he showed last year that his pass pro was something that was underrated coming out of college too. So I think Genty is a more skilled running back, but just in terms of raw athleticism, Mike Washington is on a completely different level than any back we've had here for a little while. So obviously, I think they're going to give him every opportunity to try to touch the ball. And you look at him in this outside zone system. Like Rick Dennison has had like a Mike Anderson guy before, right? Who's like a one-cut runner with a size and speed for the position. Like I think he's a guy that kind of hews a little bit closer to a Mike Washington. Even a Kenneth Walker, right? Kenneth Walker is not a like super shifty guy. He's a guy that was basically a one-cut runner, get downhill, and that's what he did, to a great degree last year, especially in the playoffs. So, and he's a guy that really didn't catch the ball out of the backfield. That's probably the weakest part of his game. So I think he has experience working with these kind of runners. So I think Mike Washington, he can make an impact on his team. The fact that we did bring in Miles Sanders for a workout, that was like, that made me scratch my head a little bit. But we obviously didn't end up bringing him on. So maybe I don't know if they're looking for another veteran voice in the room, or maybe just a guy throughout training camp to kind of be like the leader of that group, because we've been hearing that it's Genty that's been like kind of the leader in the running back room. And when the only other running backs you really have in your team is Mike Washington and Cheddar Bob, like Genty kind of has to be the leader. So I think they were looking for another veteran voice, but at this point, it's going to be kind of tough to find anybody that's going to beat out these guys, especially a veteran, because Dylan Lobby, his biggest contribution on his team is going to probably be on special teams.
They could be keeping tabs on the running back that just recovering from the Achilles injury, played with the Chargers last year, got hurt.
From the Bay. I always forget his name. From the Steelers.
Yeah, he
played for the. Najee Harris. Najee Harris.
Najee Harris. Yeah. So I think teams are going to be keeping tabs on him right now, especially like if injuries happen, they need some depth. He is a veteran, so they could possibly look into get the veteran market and bring in someone. But that's if like a guy like Michael Washington is like fumbling the ball in practice, or he's doing things that like are making the coaching staff not trust him, because he is a young player. So it's kind of like if Genty goes down or Genty needs a breather, are you going to trust him to go out there? I don't know. And then, but hey, Lobby's been given the opportunity. He's been getting second team reps. So we'll see if he continues to compete at that position. So, but for me, Mike Washington, I'm not gonna lie, I just love the idea of like Mike Washington and Ashton Genty. The last time I've seen a running back room where I was excited about was probably the Darren McFadden, Michael Bush.
Oh my God.
You got the explosiveness, you got the physicality. I'm taking it way back. It's over like that was a minute ago. But hey, but real quick before we head out, my guy Finn's, man, big time Dolphin fan, and we do play the Dolphins week 1. He has a question. He says, more all-purpose yards, Genty versus A-Chain. Who you got?
Yo, fans, if we beat y'all week 1, I'll give you a wrench, bro. I'll give you a wrench. Shout out to my new mods. Let's give some people some mods. If we beat y'all week 1, I'll give you a wrench. If we lose to y'all,
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. But I doubt. Who you got? Genty, A-Chain, more all-purpose yards this year.
Man, there's a lot of turnover in. I'll probably have to go with Miami for the simple fact that like
A-Chain.
A-Chain's probably just going to be getting the ball at such a high frequency. But again, I'm excited to see what they implement. Like, it's just hard for me to envision it right now. But I think what the Raiders do end up implementing could help Genty, like what Severe kind of alluded to earlier. And I'm sure like the biggest thing for you guys, like the news coming out of Kansas City with like Eric Bieniemy, officially stepping away from his role. I was thinking that was going to be the greatest strength of the Chiefs going into next season, and now they have essentially a question mark in how they'll get the plays called out. I'm sure they'll find a solution, but does that give the Raiders enough room to maybe upset or do things potentially in that division nobody was looking to? But yeah, right now I'd have to go with Achane just because it's a proven product, but Genty has the most to gain going into next year.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Achane is kind of a guy that's been there, done that, and he's obviously going to get the rock more times than not, just because of like what they have offensively. They really don't have anybody. They did trade away. They traded away one of their best receivers on the team. They let go of Tyreek Hill, then they traded away Waddle. So it's got a lot of young guys.
New quarterback in the building too.
Quarterback,
new head coach. Yeah,
man, it's tough. And they just paid Achane too, so they're expecting to give him the rock early and often. So I can see why you would lean towards a guy like Achane. But then it's like, also look at the Dolphins. Like,
can he get through a full season too with that kind of work?
That's the main thing. That's the main thing.
Could it be a situation like the Raiders last year? As much the running back, as great of players have played at that running back position, it's a very dependent position. Very dependent position. So if the offensive line ain't hitting all cylinders, if the quarterback is not playing well, if the receivers ain't playing well, it just makes it so much easier for the defenses to like really kind of take away the run game. So it could affect Achane. As great a talent or a good player as he is, it's a tough one. But you know what? I'm gonna go with my boy Genty, man. I'm gonna go with my boy Genty.
Okay.
Go with my boy Genty. Got Kubiak in the building. We got obviously. I feel like we've done enough on. We made some moves on the offensive line. I feel like it's gonna be better. There's nowhere to go up, but up. I mean, if you look at like what happened last year, it was a whole lot of dysfunction. I don't feel like it's happening this year. I feel like when you got Kubiak in the building as an offensive-minded coach, offensive play caller, offensively, I feel like it's going to be a lot more organized, a lot more a better product out there. So once you kind of combine all of that, then I think Genty, especially with Kubiak, his history of kind of like getting the running back position involved in the pass game, which that's a strength of his. We're talking all-purpose yards, and then as well as
less thinking too. He could just play natural.
And they want to run the football. They want to run the football. And you have Kubiak who will say sly little comments about like, hey, look, he'll mention the Christian McCaffreys. That's a sign that like that's what he wants to do with Genty. That's what he really ultimately that's what he wants to get out of him, is he wants to get him involved in the pass game and as well as run ball. But it's a challenge to Genty too. It's a challenge to him, but it's also a way of him kind of giving us an idea of like how they're going to use him. So, and we kind of seen it last year. We seen him kind of like make plays in the pass game and obviously rush the football. But obviously last year was a tough year. But I'm going to go with Genty. I'm going with Genty just because it's crazy to say. It feels like the Raiders have a better supporting cast than what Achane has. Maybe.
And that's why it took a long time to give that answer because it's tricky. Okay, it's not as easy.
Yeah, for sure, man. But hey, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Great show, great conversation. We got into it.
Pharaoh didn't need to ask me. Here I know my answer. Yeah. You already know the answer, bro. He was like, look, hey man,
I need to give you some optimism. I need to give you some optimism, Samir, because they was getting on you earlier about that.
Hey, you don't need to ask Samir. We know where we're going with it. He's like, all right, hey y'all,
unanimous Achane.
See you next time, and
damn. Oh man, because I already
don't even ask me is what he said. That's crazy.
He's like, what do you think? This shouldn't even be a hard debate.
Look, bro, without question,
you just had to hear us give an answer.
The only question is injury. The only question is injury. If Achane is healthy, it's gonna be him. And a part of the reason is because not that like Genty, because I think Genty, like I said, I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a better player than Devon Achane. I do think he does have a better supporting cast. I think he has a better head coach because the losing Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel is one of the best run game guys in the league, and that's why I keep telling people, bro.
Watch out for Marion Hampton. People all talking all this nonsense. Marion Hampton is healthy, and they got Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater healthy, bro. Watch out for and they upgraded the interior of the offensive line, bro. Watch what Amari Hampton does if he stays healthy. So like people talking nonsense, like that boy is a bad man.
Niners Chargers play this year too, so I'm excited for that game.
That boy's a bad man, and Mike McDaniel is a bad man as a run game coordinator. The Dolphins do have Bobby Slowick, who did have he had a good first year with CJ Stroud for a team that wasn't supposed to be good at all, and that team did go to the playoffs and won a playoff game. So could he replicate somebody working for a defensive head coach, much like he did with the Texans with DeMeco Ryans? He's doing the same thing down in Florida. In Miami, working for a defensive head coach with a young, mobile-ish quarterback. The Texans' weapons. Nobody knew who Nico Collins was. Nobody knew who the kid from that came over from the Cowboys that ended up going to the Reds. Noah. What's his name? Noah something. Nobody knew who he was either. So, and Dalton Schultz was kind of was a question mark as well. So, could the Dolphins surprise some people? I could see it, but A-Chain, you look at what he's done in the league, bro. As a rookie, Devon A-Chain put up 800 yards rushing on 7.8 yards a carry. 7.8. His second year in the league, he averaged 4.5 yards a carry. Last year, he averaged 5.7 yards per carry.
I hear you.
Genty was top 10 in carries last year, and only two players in the top 15 didn't average over 4 yards per carry. One of them was Christian McCaffrey, who was at 3.9. The other was Genty, who was at 3.7. So Devon A-Chain, if he's healthy, he's gonna do some crazy things.
I'm not gonna lie, Severe, man. I'm looking at this Dolphins team. This first game is usually you want to give them you want to give a team a quarter of the season to understand what that team is about. But if the Raiders lose this game, man, this is depressing. Because I'm looking at the wide receivers. These I'm just gonna name the wide receivers. Theo Weiss Jr., Taj Washington, Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Reagor. I didn't even think he was. I thought he was.
I know Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Reagor.
Donovan McCulley, Terrence Marshall.
I know Terrence Marshall.
Henning, Caleb Douglas, Kevin. These are all four. These guys are number 4 or 5 receivers, and I'm Kevin Coleman Jr., Tutu Atwell, Cole Turner.
Tutu Atwell was nice.
Tutu Atwell was very good. Yeah,
Tutu Atwell was nice. He's super undersized, but he's nice.
He's a deep threat. But is he a starting receiver? He's probably their best receiver. He's probably their best.
But look, number 3. But look. The Dolphins is looking at all wide receivers look at these receiver names. Trey Tucker, Jack. The difference is Jack is Brock Bowers. That's
exactly.
That's the difference.
Because I'm looking at the tight end.
But look,
that game's gonna be closer than
their Brock Bowers is Devon A-Chain. That's their Brock Bowers is Devon A-Chain. That's their weapon. That's their guy.
Where do you put A-Chain in your top rankings for running backs? Is he in your top 10?
He's top 10. Yeah. His only issue is being healthy. His only issue is health. If Devon A-Chain is healthy, he gonna put up numbers. He just can't stay healthy. Remember when he was? I want to say as a rookie. Remember before he got hurt, he was leading the league in rushing. I just told you 7.8 yards per carry. Bro, as a rookie.
I get it. I'm not taking away from the talent. A part of what I was saying and picking Genty is the fact is he's the proven talent. So you would easily be I'm gonna go with A-Chain because he's put up great seasons, great numbers. But this is probably the worst supporting cast in the NFL. It's bad. It's bad. Offensively, it's bad. And it's going to make it easier for teams to defend a guy like A-Chain. Unless your name is Adrian Peterson, you know what I mean? Your name is Adrian Peterson, then I can assume that, you're going to probably get 170. Yeah. It's blinking your eye. You know what I mean? It's going to be too easy for you to get your numbers. A-Chain, I'm not sure what to expect when I don't think he's ever been in a situation where he hasn't been in a Mike McDaniel offense, or at least played with like the Tyreek Hills and the Jalen Waddles. You know what I mean? Darren Waller for last season.
But you look at that's last season. But look I look at it like this, because I think Mike McDaniel is the biggest one, because I don't even look at Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill being that big of a contributor. You think, oh man, those guys are deep threats, obviously, but Tua was their quarterback. So what team was really like, oh, we got to worry about Tua throwing the ball deep? You know, like that wasn't really something they were thinking about. With Malik Willis, that is something you have to think more about. And so, and you got a guy like Tutu Atwell, who is a deep threat. You got Jalen Reagor, who is a deep threat. You got Terrence Marshall, who can be a deep threat. So, you know, like,
I'm sorry, you can't name drop Jalen Reagor though. I get what you're trying to say.
He's a deep threat. But look,
Jalen Reagor.
But look, bro, look, we looking at Trey Tucker. We have 2 receivers on our roster that have had 700-yard seasons. Well, one is Philip Dorsett, and one is Trey Tucker.
Jalen Reagor, has he ever had a Trey Tucker season? Has he ever had more than 600 yards? He's been a
probably. I don't know. Probably. I don't know. He's with the Eagles. Probably.
The fact that you got to think about it, you know he's trash. The fact that you got to think about it, you know he's trash.
But Trey Tucker. That's what I'm saying, bro. Trey Tucker. Jack Vesh put up 224 yards last year.
But the thing is,
Puka Nacua in one game put up 225.
But my thing is we got Brock Bowers. And we got, and this is projection, but I'm leaning towards Kubiak being a pretty good, they call that head coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think in terms of running game, I think
we're gonna have a system in place. It might take a few games maybe to solidify everything and get everybody on the same page, whether that's the offensive line, whether that's the weapons or receivers or whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, we've been talking about this for a cool minute. I appreciate everybody coming through. Great conversation. My guy Adal, man, I appreciate you coming through. Hopefully we have you on again as well. We're gonna get it going. But hey, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
Hey, look, man, the Niners getting into their padded practice tomorrow. Adal Osman, NFL. We'll try to get in there, try to talk to some fans, see what they're thinking. So I think a big gauge of what's going to happen into the season, how the Niner fans feel, is how they've been handling things from Kyle Shanahan, Brandon Ayuk, all that. Adal Osman on Instagram, YouTube, NFL, Adal Osman NFL. You'll just start seeing some of these things now that we're right around the corner from the season. Fellas, we got a preseason matchup where we'll be able to measure where we're at. And then on the flip side, we'll get that regular season matchup week 9 right before the deadline. So,
what's that picture, bro? Is that
that picture is wild? Is that the is that the receiver? Is that the receiver from the Chiefs? I feel like it was a receiver.
Oh yeah, Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, is that him? Oh, yeah, is that him? But yeah, man. Hey, my guy Dixon. He posted a link to Adal's YouTube channel, so definitely head over there, subscribe to my guy. Make sure be on the lookout, man.
Appreciate that.
We're gonna be doing big things in the future, so definitely be on the lookout. You're gonna see Adal here often, more times than not, and we'll continue the conversation. And we'll see, man. We'll see Brock Purdy. Hey
man, it's a big year, bro. It's a big year, man. We're gonna see. All I know is don't get mad at me when I start. If he throw for like 4K yards, don't be mad when I start bringing up all the other metrics, man.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna forget it. Don't forget it.
A dog gonna have graphs all in the back. Like if you look at this,
with the little strings and the
this
strings.
This is Brock Purdy on 3rd and 5 when the wind is blowing to the northeast. You see,
the metrics say that Brock Purdy has been good on 3rd down more often times than not. But it is what it is. Hey, Severe, man, let people know where they can find you, what to look forward to.
Hey, man, you guys know what it is, man. The Severe Raider on YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, X, IG, Kick, Twitch, True Social, man. How's your boy? Tuesdays and Thursdays, with PharoahNFL and around at the 50-50 show and Around the Shield. Wednesdays the Raider War Room. Holla at your boy, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Hit those notification bells so y'all never miss show. We try to keep you entertained, keep it fun, keep it, keep the engagement going. And there's one thing you guys take away from this conversation today. It's one thing you guys take away. that Brock Purdy's a system quarterback.
Hey, spoken like a Raider fan, man. Like I gotta let y'all have that, man.
Back here next week.
If y'all know nothing else, is that I'm going to get under the skin of the guest.
We'll be back here next week, 50-50 show, like Severe said, and Around the Shield, and make sure to follow us all over social media. Y'all see
back, man.
Y'all see the name on the screen, and then obviously Around the Shield on X and on IG. We appreciate y'all on the way out. Clock out, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We'll see y'all, man. Peace.